Chapter 1. On the eve of the Gaokao, my mom tore up my exam admission ticket. On the eve of the Gaokao, my mom tore my exam admission ticket into 4 pieces. The living room was so quiet it was downright eerie. The TV was still on, and the news was reporting that this year's Gaokao registration numbers had hit another record high. My dad sat on the sofa, his face dark. My younger sister, Lin Jixia, was curled up in my mom's arms, sobbing so hard she could barely catch her breath. My mom slammed the torn-up admission ticket onto the coffee table and looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. Lin Suining, your sister is in this state. How is she supposed to sit the exam tomorrow? I lowered my head and looked at those 4 scraps of paper. In my past life, it was the exact same scene. Back then, I hadn't been reborn. I knelt on the floor, picking up the admission ticket piece by piece, begging them in tears. Mom, the Gaokao is tomorrow. I've spent 12 years preparing for this. I can't not go. My mom slapped me across the face. She said, if something happens to your sister because of you, what good is getting into Tsinghua? Then my dad took my ID card. My mom locked my bedroom door. The next morning, I shouted myself hoarse in the room until I was coughing up blood. No one opened the door for me. By the time the neighbors heard the commotion and called the police, the first Chinese exam was already over. That year, Lin Jixia scored 612. The whole family threw a college send-off banquet with 30 tables for her. As for me, because I missed one subject, I could only repeat senior year. The year I repeated, I worked myself to the bone and made it into the top 100 in the province. On the night we filled out our college applications, my dad secretly used my ID number and password to change my choices to a private college in a remote city. He said, Jixia is going to Beijing to study. The family can't afford to support 2 college students. You're the older sister, be more understanding. In the end, I never showed up to enroll. I worked odd jobs, delivered takeout, and tutored students. 10 years later, I died on a stormy night. Just before the truck's headlights slammed into me, a giant roadside screen was airing an interview with Lin Jixia. She said, between family members, love means sacrifice. I died with regret. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the eve of the college entrance exam. My mom tore up my exam admission ticket again. She was still saying, your sister has been weak since she was little, and she's not emotionally resilient either. The doctor said she can't handle stress. Tomorrow, don't go into the exam hall, stay outside with her. Your grades are good. Repeating a year isn't a big deal. My dad finally spoke up. Sui Ning, it's not that we're not letting you study, it's just that this year is different. If your sister flunks the exam, her whole life will be ruined. I looked at Lin Jixia. She was curled up in my mom's arms, her eyes red, but when she lowered her gaze, the corners of her lips curled up ever so slightly, very quickly, so quickly that the me from my previous life didn't catch it at all. I laughed. The 3 people in the living room all froze. My mom frowned. What are you laughing at? I said. That was ripped pretty neatly. I slowly bent down, picked up the scraps of paper from the floor, and put them back on the coffee table. Then I took my phone out of my school uniform pocket. The screen was still on. The recording was still going. My mom's expression changed instantly. Lin Suining, you're recording this? I nodded. Yeah, I started recording when you told me to skip the exam. My dad shot to his feet. Give me the phone. He reached for me. In my past life, I was afraid of him. Whenever he shouted, I would start trembling without thinking. But now, I only found it ridiculous. I stepped back. Dad, if you try to snatch my phone now, I'll keep calling the police. My dad's hand froze in midair. My mom shrieked, you still want to call the police? I'm your mother. So what? I looked at her. Because you're my mother, you can tear up my exam admission slip. Because you're my mother, you can lock my bedroom door. Because you're my mother, you can make my 12 years of studying go to waste. Lin Jixia cried even harder. Sis, don't be like this. I didn't mean it. I was just too scared. Every time I think about having an exam tomorrow, I can't catch my breath. She clutched her chest, her face pale. My mom immediately pulled her into a tight hug. See that? Your sister's already like this, and you're still upsetting her. I looked at Lin Jixia. Can't catch your breath? She nodded, tears falling one by one. I said. Then let's go to the hospital. Her crying stopped for a moment. I picked up my phone. I'm calling 120 right now. Let professionals handle professional matters. If you're really having an acute anxiety attack, you should be in the hospital, not making me give up my exam. Lin Jixia's face went pale. My mom immediately grabbed my hand. Don't you dare call. I lowered my eyes to her hand. Why? Because she isn't sick. My mom looked like someone had stepped on her tail, her voice rising. What nonsense are you talking about? My dad's face darkened even more. Lin Suining, are you really determined to make a scene today? I looked up at him. Yes, if I have to make a scene today, I will. I'll take the exam tomorrow too. Anyone who tries To stop me, I'll call the police. A vein in my dad's forehead twitched. He was used to my silence, used to me giving in, used to me being like an old table at home, put anywhere, and never making a sound. So when I actually spoke up and fought back, his first reaction wasn't anger, it was shock. He thought I shouldn't, thought I wasn't worthy. My mom gritted her teeth. Your admission ticket has already been torn up. How are you supposed to take the exam? I looked at her, word by word. Mom, did you forget? This afternoon, the school handed out the exam admission tickets uniformly. The one I brought back was a photocopy. The living room fell into dead silence. Lin Jixia suddenly looked up. My dad's expression changed slowly. I took a folded sheet of paper out of the hidden pocket in my backpack, the real one. I gave it to my homeroom teacher. My ID card is with her too. I watched their faces grow increasingly ugly. Because I already knew you'd make a move. My mom's lips trembled. You were guarding against us. Yes, I gave a faint laugh. It started last week, when you asked me to transfer the contest prize money to Jixia. It started when Dad secretly asked me for the password to the application system. It started when Jixia crept into my room in the middle of the night and rifled through my backpack. That's when I began keeping my guard up around all of you. Lin Jixia's face went completely pale. My dad turned sharply to look at her. You went through her backpack. Lin Jixia burst into tears again. I didn't. I just wanted to borrow my sister's mistake notebook. I cut her off. That notebook was under my pillow. What you searched was the innermost compartment of my backpack. She had no words. Of course she didn't. That was where my college entrance exam admission ticket should have been. In my last life, she took it from there and handed it to my mother. I put my phone back in my pocket and picked up the backpack I had already packed. My mom finally panicked. Where are you going to? Teacher Liang's place. Teacher Liang was my homeroom teacher, and in my previous life, she was the only person who looked for me for an entire day. She called my phone, but no one answered. She came to my house and knocked on the door, and my dad said I wasn't feeling well and had decided to skip the exam. Later, when she learned the truth, she was so angry she smashed a cup in the office, but by then, it was already too late. This time, it won't be too late. I walked toward the door. My mom rushed over to stop me. If you dare walk out that door tonight, don't ever come back. I stopped and looked back at her. Fine, then I'm not coming back. I pulled the door open outside. The hallway light was broken, leaving everything dim and yellow. Behind me came Lin Jixia's soft sobs. Does my sister hate me? I didn't look back. Just before closing the door, I said softly, it's not hate, it's disgust. The door slammed shut with a bang. For the first time in this life, I finally drew a full breath. Chapter 2. I called the police, and I left home too. An electric scooter was parked downstairs. Teacher Liang was wearing a loose sun-protective jacket, her hair blown into a mess by the wind. When she saw me coming down, she immediately took off her helmet. Swooning, I walked up to her. I hadn't cried at home just now, but at that moment, my eyes suddenly stung when Teacher Liang saw the backpack in my hand, then looked at my expression. Her face darkened at once. They actually laid hands on you. I nodded. They tore up the photocopy. They also wanted to take my phone. Teacher Liang was so angry her chest rose and fell. Animals. After cursing them, she immediately reined herself in. Do you still have the recording? Yes, I've got your ID card and exam admission ticket with me. She patted her bag. Don't worry, tomorrow, I'll personally take you to the exam room, I said softly. Thank you, teacher. Teacher Liang looked at me, swooning. You don't need to thank me. You earned this yourself. She told me to get in the car. As soon as I sat down, my phone started buzzing. Caller ID. Dad. I hung up. He called again. I hung up again. For the third time, a text message popped up. Come back now, and I can pretend tonight never happened. I stared at those words, thinking how ridiculous they were. Pretend tonight never happened. Impossible. How could the past 10 years of my last life not have happened? I immediately took a screenshot of the text and sent it to Teacher Liang. Teacher Liang glanced at it. Keep it, it'll all be evidence later. Just as the car pulled out of the neighborhood, my dad's call came through again on Teacher Liang's phone. Teacher Liang answered it and put it on speaker. My father's voice came through the phone. Teacher Liang, is Sui Ning with you? Yes. Please ask her to come back. We can handle family matters ourselves. Tearing up a child's exam admission ticket the night before the college entrance exam is a family matter too. There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. My father's tone changed immediately. Teacher Liang, don't listen to her nonsense. The child has been under a lot of pressure lately and her mental state is a bit unstable. Her younger sister isn't well, and we just wanted her to keep her company. We're not trying to stop her from taking the exam. Teacher Liang gave a cold laugh. Mr. Lin, I've heard the recording. My father fell silent. Teacher Liang continued. Let me remind you. Tomorrow is the nationwide college entrance exam. As guardians, if you deliberately prevent a candidate from taking the exam, the consequences will be very serious. My father's tone hardened. Are you threatening me? No, I'm informing you. I've already filed a police report. The electric bike stopped at a red light. The night wind blew over. My dad went completely silent on the other end of the line. A few seconds later, he hung up. I stared blankly at Teacher Liang. Teacher, you called the police? Of course. She shoved her phone back into her pocket. You think I came to pick you up just to listen to them lecture me? My throat tightened. In my previous life, I had thought about calling the police too, but back then, I was too afraid of making a scene, afraid of losing face, afraid of people saying I was unfilial, afraid of my mom crying, afraid of my dad getting angry, afraid that something would really happen to Lin Jixia. I was afraid of so many things, except being destroyed myself. Teacher Liang rode her bike and took me to her place. Her place was small. The table in the living room was piled high with students' exam papers, and a new quilt was laid out on the sofa. You'll sleep here tonight. I already spoke to your grade head. He'll drive us to the exam venue tomorrow morning. She handed me a cup of hot milk. Drink it and go to sleep. I took it. The milk was scalding hot. So hot it turned my fingers red. I said softly, Teacher, am I going to be a burden to you? Teacher Liang was flipping through my exam admission ticket to confirm the information. Hearing that, she looked up at me. Lin Suining. She rarely called me by my full name. You're a student. Right now, your most important job is your exam. Protecting you is what a teacher is supposed to do. Tears instantly welled up in my eyes. Teacher Liang paused for a moment, then handed me a tissue. Don't cry. If your eyes are swollen tomorrow, it'll affect how well you can read the questions. What she said made me want to cry and laugh at the same time. She sat down across from me. Suining, let me ask you something. Will you be okay tomorrow? I wiped away my tears. Yes. She looked at me. Really? I nodded. Yeah. I've been waiting for this day for 2 lifetimes. Teacher Liang didn't understand. She thought I was under too much pressure and talking nonsense, but she didn't press me. Instead, she stuck a sticky note onto my pencil case, for words were written on it. Just do your best. That night, I slept deeply. I didn't dream of the truck, I didn't dream of the downpour, and I didn't dream of Lin Jixia standing in the spotlight, saying I had sacrificed myself willingly. I woke up at 6 the next morning. Teacher Liang had already made breakfast, eggs, bread, and a small bowl of porridge. She handed me my admission ticket and ID card. Check them over. I checked them and put them into a transparent document sleeve. The grade director's car was parked downstairs. As I got in the car, I turned on my phone. 73 missed calls. 99 plus WeChat messages. In the family group chat, my mom had sent a long message. Last night, Suining had a falling out with the family and ran away from home. We didn't sleep all night. We were worried sick. She's always had good grades, but her personality is very stubborn, and she's under a lot of pressure too. We just hope she can make it into the exam room safely today. And we also hope everyone won't blame her for being immature. A bunch of relatives chimed in to comfort her. The college entrance exam is important, so it's normal for a kid to throw a tantrum. This girl Suining just has too much pride and stubbornness. Jixia isn't in good health, so as her older sister, Suining should be more understanding. I watched for a while, then I sent the recording from last night straight into the group chat. The voice message was very long, 3 minutes and 42 seconds. The group chat fell silent in an instant. Half a minute later, my aunt was the first to send a message. Sis, did you really tear up Suining's admission ticket? My mom didn't reply. I turned off my phone. The grade head glanced at me in the rearview mirror. Done, I said. Yeah, I'm not looking at my phone until after the exam. He nodded. Good. The car headed toward the exam site. Morning light gradually brightened. The roadside was filled with parents seeing their kids off to the exam. Some held sunflowers, some wore bright red kippeos, and some handed their children water, tissues, or the last piece of chocolate. As I watched those scenes, I suddenly felt no envy, because I knew, starting today, I'm not without someone to see me off. I just don't want a family that would push me down anymore. Chapter 3, the first exam. My younger sister breaks down at the exam hall entrance. I saw Lin Jixia at the entrance to the exam hall. She was wearing a white dress, her hair neatly tied back. My mom was supporting her. My dad stood nearby, his face dark as a skillet. When they saw me, all their expressions changed, especially my mom's. It was as if she'd finally found someone to take it out on, and she strode quickly toward me. Lin Suining, what did you mean by sending the recording to the family group chat last night? Teacher Liang stepped in front of me. There are still 12 minutes before entry. If there's anything to say, wait until after the exam. My mom was shaking with anger. Teacher Liang, this is a family matter. Teacher Liang looked at her, at the entrance to the college entrance Exam, there's no such thing as a family matter, my dad said with a dark expression, swooning. Come here. I didn't move. He lowered his voice even more. Do you have to make such a scene that everyone gets to laugh at us? I looked at him. Dad, I wasn't the one who tore up my exam admission ticket last night. I wasn't the one who wanted me to miss the exam either. If you're so afraid of being laughed at, why aren't you afraid of making a fool of yourself? People nearby had already started. Looking over, my mom's face flushed red. Lin Jixia burst into tears. She walked up to me and spoke very softly. Sis, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I was really scared last night, and that's why Mom and Dad misunderstood. Please don't blame them, okay? She was very clever with her words. With just one line, Mom and Dad misunderstood, she turned tearing up my exam admission ticket into an accident. With another, don't blame them. She painted me as the immature older sister. In my previous life, I feared her most when she did this. Once she cried, I became the bad one, but this time, I didn't comfort her. I just asked, you were scared, so they tore up my exam admission ticket. Lin Jixia bit her lip. I didn't tell them to tear it up. Then did you stop them? Tears clung to her eyelashes. I was just too upset at the time. So upset you still had the energy to watch my mom tear it up. Her face stiffened. I went on. So upset you still had the energy to wait until my mom was done tearing it up, then say, it's fine if your sister repeats a year. Lin Jixia shot her head up. She hadn't expected me to say it outright, because she had said it so quietly that only I heard. She shook her head in a panic. I didn't say that. You heard wrong. I nodded. It's fine. It's on the recording. Her face turned pale. Whispers started up around us. What's wrong with this family? Ripping up an exam admission ticket the night before the college entrance exam. Has she lost her mind? She looks so soft-spoken and delicate, but somehow that sounds off. My mom couldn't stand people talking, so she immediately pulled Lin Jixia behind her. Enough, Lin Xining. Your sister has already apologized to you. What more do you want? I looked at her. I want to go into the exam hall. Move. I never said those words in my last life. Saying them now, they felt so light. But Lin Jixia suddenly clutched her chest and swayed. Mom, I feel terrible. My mom rushed over and caught her. Jixia, my dad panicked too. Hurry, where's the medicine? Lin Jixia's breathing grew more and more ragged, tears streaming down her face. My mom shouted at me, are you satisfied now? Do you have to drive her to her death before you're happy? Everyone around us fell even quieter. All eyes turned to me. If this had been my previous life, I would have panicked. I would have explained, apologized, said I didn't mean it, but now, I simply raised my hand. Officer, someone here has suddenly taken ill. There was a police officer on duty at the entrance to the exam site. Hearing the commotion, he came over at once. What's going on? I pointed at Lin Jixia. She says she's having an anxiety attack and can't catch her breath. I suggest contacting the medical station. The officer nodded and immediately called over the medical staff nearby. Lin Jixia's sobs cut in her throat again. My mom's face darkened. No need. We have our own medication. The medical staff had already arrived, miss. What seems to be the problem? Lin Jixia kept her head down and said nothing. I said, she was just saying her chest felt tight and she couldn't catch her breath. The medical staff took one look at her complexion. Let's check her oxygen saturation and heart rate first. Lin Jixia instinctively shrank back. My mom stepped in front of the medical staff. No need, she's just nervous. The medical staff frowned. Even if she's nervous, we still need to determine whether it will affect the exam. If it's really serious, it needs to be handled right away. My dad also looked a little embarrassed. Jixia, let them check. Caught between a rock and a hard place, Lin Jixia had no choice but to reach out her hand. Her oxygen saturation was normal. Her heart rate was a bit fast, but not to the point of being abnormal enough to keep her from taking the exam. The medical staff sighed in relief. It's not a big problem. Take a few deep breaths, and don't crowd around here, the way people around her looked at Lin Jixia had changed. Lin Jixia's face burned with embarrassment. She was best at using fragility as a weapon, but at the entrance to the exam hall, there were teachers, police officers, and doctors. No one was buying it. The announcement came over the loudspeaker. Candidates, please enter the exam hall in an orderly manner. Teacher Liang gently patted my shoulder. Go on. I nodded. As I passed my mom, she suddenly grabbed my wrist. She lowered her voice, brimming with hatred and gritted teeth fury. Lin Xining, if you dare take that exam today, there won't be a place for you in this family anymore. I stopped, I looked down and pried her fingers open one by one. Mom, that place in your family, I don't want it anymore. I turned and walked into the exam venue. The sunlight fell on the plastic sleeve of my admission ticket, bright enough to sting my eyes, but I didn't blink. I kept walking, step by step. It felt like walking out of a nightmare that had been dead for 10 years when the Chinese exam paper was Handed out, I flipped to the essay prompt. The title was, Choice and Cost. Holding the pen, I suddenly smiled. I was more than capable of writing this one. The final problem in Chapter 4, the math section, was based on a prototype problem I had written. When I came out after the Chinese exam, my mom and the others were no longer waiting at the entrance. Teacher Liang handed me a bottle of water. How did it go? About as expected, she smiled. Then you're in the clear. I took a sip of water. The phone was still in her bag. She hadn't given it back to me, and I hadn't asked for it. News of what happened that morning spread fast. A few classmates saw me and seemed to want to say something, but held back. In the end, the class monitor, Chin Yuanin, walked over. Lin Suining. I looked up. He handed me a mint candy. Good luck in math this afternoon. I froze for a second. Chin Yuanin was second in our grade, usually trailing just behind me by 3 to 10 points. He was always as cold as ice. And aside from explaining problems, he rarely said anything unnecessary to anyone. I took the candy. Thanks. He looked at me in silence for 2 seconds. If you need help, you can come to me. I laughed. Help me with what? Back you up. His voice was flat. Last week during evening study hall, I saw Lin Jixia rummaging through your backpack. I froze, so I wasn't the only one who knew. Qin Yuanan went on. I thought your sisters were just borrowing something, so I didn't think much of it, but now it seems that wasn't the case. I clenched the candy in my hand. Thanks, he nodded. Take the exam first. We'll settle the score after. That was exactly what I wanted to hear. Math in the afternoon. Sitting in the exam room, I felt a calm I'd never known before when the bell rang. In my previous life, I missed the Chinese exam, even though I fought hard on the subjects that came after. It was already too late to turn things around. That feeling of sitting in the exam hall, knowing I had already lost, stayed with me for 10 years. This life is different. The moment the papers were handed out, I first skimmed the big questions. The early ones were solid, the middle had traps, and the final showdown problem looked brand new. But the very first second I read the problem statement, my fingers froze. I'd seen this model before. No, more accurately, I had built a prototype of it. During winter break in my senior year of high school, I took part in a provincial problem-setting camp. The teacher asked us to try designing innovative questions. I had submitted a model combining functions and sequences. It wasn't selected in the end, and I didn't think much of it. I never expected it to come back in a new disguise. As the final boss of the college entrance exam math paper, I closed my eyes for a moment. Even the heavens were on my side. When the final bell rang, the exam hall was full of groans. What the hell was that last question? I didn't even understand the questions. It's over. Math was a disaster. I put my pen away. I had a pretty good idea of how I'd done. I wouldn't dare say full marks, but anything above 145 was pretty much a lock. When I walked out of the exam hall, Lin Jixia was standing at the corner of the corridor. She looked awful. The moment she saw me, she walked over right away. Sis, I ignored her. She stopped me. How did you do on the math exam? I looked at her. What's it got to do with you? She bit her lip. I'm just worried about you. Worried about me? I laughed. Putting on an act and pretending to be sick at the exam hall this morning. Was that you worrying about me too? Her face went pale. Do you really have to talk like that? Then how am I supposed to say it? I stepped forward. Say thank you. Thank you for watching Mom tear up my exam admission slip last night. Thank you for going through my backpack. Thank you for wanting me to miss the exam. Lin Jixia's eyes turned red again. I didn't want you to miss the exam. I was just too scared. Your grades are so good. You could still do well after repeating a year, but I'm different. This is my only chance. I looked at her and suddenly found it absurd. Lin Jixia, who told you my life was there for you to stand on? She froze. I stared into her eyes. You've been in poor health since you were little, so your parents always gave way to you. You don't do well in school, so the teachers look after you. You wanted my competition prize money, and they made me give it to you. You wanted my wrong answer notebook, and they made me lend it to you. Now you want my college entrance exam, and they still want me to give way. Do you give in so easily that it's become second nature, so much so that you really think other people's lives are yours too? Lin Jixia's face gradually turned pale. People had already started looking over from the hallway. That was what she feared most. She was afraid people would see that she was not kind enough, not pitiful enough, not perfect enough, so she quickly adjusted her expression, and tears fell. Sis, I know you hate me, but I really meant no harm. If you insist on blaming me, then go ahead. I just hope you won't affect the upcoming exam. I nodded. I'll return that to you as well. When I finished speaking, I went around her and headed for the door. She suddenly spoke up behind me, her voice very soft. Sis, you really don't think you've already won just because the exam is over, do you? I stopped in my tracks. She stepped closer and said in a voice only the two of us could hear, "Mom and Dad already know your program password, so what if you did well on the exam? Where you end up going to school is still their call, isn't it?" I slowly turned back to look at her. There was a hint of smugness in Lin Jixia's eyes, a familiar smugness. In my past life, she had looked at my admission letter exactly like that. She said, "It's okay if it's a bit farther away, sis. Girls feel too much pressure if they study too well." I laughed. Lin Jixia frowned. "What are you laughing at?" I said. "At how stupid you are." Her expression changed. I leaned closer to her. "How do you know the password I gave them was the real one?" Her pupils suddenly contracted. I didn't look at her again. I turned and went downstairs. Behind me, Lin Jixia stood there, and for the first time, she didn't cry. Chapter 5. My parents want to steal my college application password. On the day the college entrance exam ended, the sky was dark and overcast when the bell rang for the last subject. The entire exam site erupted. Some screamed, some hugged, and some threw their review materials into the air. I stood in the crowd and didn't move. Teacher Liang was waiting for me outside the school gate. She was holding a bouquet of sunflowers, a very small bouquet, with even the wrapping paper a little wrinkled. The way she handed it to me was awkward. "Bought it from a roadside stand. What others have, we should have too." I held that bunch of sunflowers, my eyes stinging. "Thank you, teacher." Teacher Liang gave a soft cough. "All right, enough with the sentimentality. Come to my place for dinner tonight." Before I could answer, my phone started buzzing. It was my dad. During the 2 days of the college entrance exam, he hadn't come looking for me again, not because he didn't want to, but because Teacher Liang, the grade dean, and the police all had reports on file. He didn't dare, now that the exam was over. He finally couldn't hold back anymore. I picked up the phone. "Done with the exam." His voice sounded calm, as if nothing had happened. I said, "Yeah, come home for dinner. Your mom made your favorite sweet and sour ribs." I almost laughed out loud. Sweet and sour ribs were never my favorite. The one who liked sweet and sour ribs was Lin Jixia. I liked tomato braised beef brisket, but in this family, no one remembered. I said, "No." My dad was silent for 2 seconds. Lin Suining, "You've made enough of a scene. We already let you take the college entrance exam. What more do you want?" I looked at the crowd by the school gate. "Dad, that's rich coming from you. My college entrance exam wasn't something you granted me. I fought to keep it myself." My mom's voice came through the phone. "What's she still being stubborn for? Tell her to come back now." My dad held back his temper. "We still need to talk about your college choices." "Here it comes." My grip tightened around the phone. "What are we discussing?" "You have good grades, so you have more options." Jixia didn't do well this time. Her estimated score isn't ideal. As the older sister, you need to think about the family's overall situation. I listened in silence. He went on, "If you can get into a university in the province, then don't go to Jing City. The cost of living there is high. If Jixia has to retake the exam, she'll need money." I closed my eyes briefly. In my past life, I heard words like this before. But back then, I had already been ruined once. He still thought that wasn't enough. No, I had finished the exam in one piece, and he was reaching for my future again. I asked, "What if I can get into Tsinghua?" My dad paused for a moment. "Sui Ning, people can't be too selfish." I laughed. "Applying to Tsinghua makes me selfish," he said. "The family has raised you all these years. It wasn't so you'd only think about yourself." "Dad," I cut him off, "what exactly have you raised me for? I've been on scholarships since middle school. Tuition was fully waived for all 3 years of high school. I gave the family 68,000 yuan in competition prize money. I tutored Lin Jixia, organized her wrong answers, and made her study plans, besides playing favorites. What have you ever given me?" The line went completely silent. My mom snatched the phone, her voice sharp. "Lin Suining, you ungrateful brat. You've been eating our food and living under our roof, and now that you think you can stand on your own, you don't even recognize your parents anymore. Is that it?" I said, "Yes. Didn't you say last night that once I walked out the door, I shouldn't come back? I've got a good memory." I remembered. My mom was so furious her breathing trembled. I hung up. Teacher Lian looked at me. "They want the application password." I nodded. What are you going to do? Wait for them to make their move?" Teacher Lian frowned. I explained. I'd shown my dad a password before. It could log in, but once it did, it would trigger an out-of-town alert and a second verification step. The verification code was tied to the new number I'd just gotten, and that number is with you. Teacher Liang froze for 2 seconds, then laughed. "Not bad, Lin Suining. You covered all the bases." I laughed too. Been burned before. Teacher Liang didn't press further. She was already used to me blurting out strange things from time to time. That night, I stayed at Teacher Liang's place. The first meal after the gaokao was tomato and beef brisket. Miss Liang said she wasn't very good at cooking and had added too much salt, but I still ate 2 bowls of rice. 9:17 p.m. Ms. Liang's spare phone lit up, a text message verification code popped up. You are logging into the Nanjing City College Entrance Exam Volunteer Application Simulation System. Your verification code is 693214. If this was not you, please change your password immediately. Ms. Liang's face darkened. They've made a move. I took the phone and took a screenshot, then another text message popped up, a login on a new device was detected. Location, Qinghe Residential Community, Nanjing City, Qinghe Community, my home. I stared at that line of text for a long time and Teacher Liang asked, call the police. No rush. The simulation system hasn't officially gone live yet. They're only trying passwords right now. On the day the official submissions open, they'll definitely try again. Teacher Liang frowned deeply. Suining, are you really not upset? I thought about it. I am. How could I not be upset, after all? They were the parents I had called mom and dad for 18 years. I had once hoped that when I came first in my exams, they would praise me, hoped that when I had a fever, they would hold me the way they held Lin Xixia, hoped that at parent-teacher meetings, they would come just once to hear the teacher say, Lin Suining is outstanding. But later, I stopped hoping. No one can keep standing in place forever, waiting for a door that will never open. I backed up the text messages, then opened the family group chat. They were still arguing in there after that recording was posted last night. My aunt questioned my mom for tearing up my college entrance exam admit card. My uncle asked my dad if he had gone crazy, and my grandmother sent more than a dozen voice messages, crying and saying that a family shouldn't end up in a mess like this. My mom only replied with one line, Suining is under too much pressure. The recording was taken out of context. Reading that line, I suddenly felt it was all pointless, so I posted another screenshot. It's the verification code for tonight's college application login and the login location. I even made up a line. On the first night after the college entrance exam, they started trying my application password. The group went dead silent again. Half a minute later, my aunt sent a message, sis, what exactly are you trying to do this time? My mom didn't reply, and the next second, my dad's call came in. I didn't answer. He texted me, Lin Suining, do you really have to air the family's dirty laundry in front of everyone? I replied, Dad, I'm not the one making a scene, it's you who are too filthy. After sending it, I turned off my phone. Outside the window, the night was pitch black. I sat at my desk and took out that sticky note. The words normal performance that Teacher Liang had written were already a little curled at the edges. I stuck it onto the last page of my wrong answers notebook. In my past life, my college entrance exam was torn to shreds. My college choices were tampered with. My life was trampled into the mud by them. In this life, they still wanted to pull the same trick again. Too bad. I was no longer the Lin Suining locked in a room, only able to cry and pound on the door. I can take exams, and I can settle scores, and when I settle scores, I never miss a single point. Chapter 6, Results Night, and the provincial top scorer wasn't her. On the night the exam results came out, Lin Xixia posted a moment on WeChat Moments. In the photo, she was sitting at her desk, with hot milk, sunflowers, and an open copy of the college application guide on the table. The caption read, May all our efforts be rewarded. A lot of relatives liked it. My mom was the first to comment, Sweetheart, Mom will always believe in you. My dad was second, Keep a calm mind, just do your best. My aunt left a comment below, What about Suining? My mom didn't reply. Lin Xixia did reply, Sister, you must be waiting for your results too. I hope you do well as well. The words sound gentle, but every single one is really a reminder to others. She's kind, she's generous, and even after I hurt her, she's still wishing me well. I glanced at it and didn't comment. Teacher Liang took the phone from my hand. Don't look at this stuff, it'll affect your mood. I was sitting in her living room, with a computer in front of me. There were still 7 minutes before the results checking system opened. Teacher Liang was even more nervous than I was, checking the time, getting up to pour water, then walking back again. In the end, even the grade-level director couldn't stand it anymore. Old Liang, can you sit down? Teacher Liang glared at him. You're not nervous. The grade director adjusted her glasses. I am nervous, but I haven't paced around the living room 18 times. I couldn't help laughing. When she saw me laugh, she actually seemed relieved. If you can still laugh, that means you're in a pretty good headspace, I said. Teacher, I'm really not nervous. This wasn't just me trying to act tough. In my previous life, I didn't make it through the college entrance exam in one piece. Later, during the year I repeated senior year, my hand shook so badly when I checked my scores that I mistyped my ID number 3 times. But this time, I was calm, not because I didn't know how important the Gaokao was, but because I knew I had done everything I could. It was exactly 9 o'clock. The system was live. The page froze for more than 10 seconds before finally loading. I entered my exam Admission number, ID number, and verification code. Click search. The page kept loading for 2 seconds. The results were out. Name, Lin Suining, Chinese, 136 Math, 150 English, 147 Science, 292, total score, 725. The room fell silent for a full 3 seconds. Teacher Liang suddenly covered her mouth. The head of grade shot to his feet, banging his knee against the coffee table, his face twisted in pain, but he couldn't get a word out. I stared at that number, 725, higher than I'd estimated. Teacher Liang's voice even changed. Sui Ning, do you know what this means? Before I could answer, her phone had already started ringing. It was the principal. Teacher Liang had just answered when the voice on the other end came through so loudly I could hear it clearly. Did you find it? Teacher Liang took a deep breath. Yes. What score? 725. There was a 1-second silence on the other end of the line. The next second, the principal's voice nearly cracked. How much? Teacher Liang repeated. 725. A perfect score in math, and 292 in science. A flurry of chaos broke out on the other end of the line. Someone shouted, check the provincial ranking now. Another voice called out, contact the admissions team. Sitting on the sofa, I suddenly felt a strange sense of unreality, not because of the score, but because at this moment, I wasn't locked in a room, I hadn't missed the exam, and I wasn't watching Lin Zhixia surrounded by the whole family on the night results were released in this life. My name was on the screen. Lin Suining, 725 at last. I had snatched my own name back from their hands. Teacher Liang looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. Suining, you're in. I nodded. She couldn't hold back anymore and pulled me into a tight hug. You really did it. Just then, my phone lit up. It was my dad calling. Teacher Liang glanced at me. Want to answer? I said. Answer it. I turned on speakerphone. My dad's voice came through, sounding strained. Have the results come out before I could say anything? He added another sentence. Zhixia scored 603, a little lower than her estimated score. She's not in a good place emotionally right now. I let out a small laugh when he called. The first thing he said wasn't to ask what I got, it was to tell me Lin Zhixia had bombed the exam. How familiar? I asked. So what? There was a pause on the other end. What did you score? I said. 725. The line went completely silent. I heard my mom ask from the side. What did she get? My dad didn't answer. My mom's voice turned urgent. Say something. What did she get? My dad seemed to finally snap back to his senses. 725. The next second, there was the sound of a cup smashing in the phone. My mom shrieked. Impossible. How could she possibly score that high? Teacher Liang's expression turned cold. I, on the other hand, was very calm. My mom snatched the phone. Lin Suining, did you misread it? Did you send us someone else's scores? Mom, you can check with the provincial education and exam authority. She was breathing heavily. Your sister only scored 603, she usually gets 630 or 640, she wasn't in good shape this time, and it's all because of you. I almost laughed in anger. She got 603 because of me. Then who did I get 725 because of? Because you tore up my admission ticket, because Dad wanted to change my college choices, or because Lin Zhixia pretended to be sick at the exam hall in trance. Lin Zhixia's sobbing came through the phone, very soft, very stifled. My mom's voice instantly turned sharp. Shut up. Your sister is already feeling awful enough, and you're still trying to upset her. She only scored 603. What is she supposed to do now? I looked at the scores on the computer screen. She can retake the exam. Haven't you always said that repeating a year is no big deal? The line went dead silent. A few seconds later, my dad spoke, his voice frighteningly low. Lin Suining, come home right now. I asked. What for? He said. To talk about your college choices. I laughed. Dad, have you forgotten? You already broke into my application portal. I'm not coming back. My dad held back his anger. Do you have to put it so harshly? Harsh? I looked over at Teacher Liang. I think it's okay. Teacher Liang nodded, very objective. The head of the grade level added, that's even understated. When my dad heard someone speaking nearby, his tone changed. Who are you with right now? I said. A teacher. The principal is on the way too. The admissions team should be here soon as well. Dad, if you want to discuss school choices, you can do that with the Education Bureau. The call was cut off. I put down my phone. Teacher Liang asked, feel better? I thought about it carefully. A little. She smiled. Things will only keep getting more comfortable from here. Half an hour later, the principal personally came to Teacher Liang's home with the head of academic affairs. The first thing he said when he walked in was, Lin Suining, from now on, don't answer calls from just anyone on your phone, especially your parents. He said it very seriously. I've already contacted the Education Bureau. Given that there were previously attempts in your family to block your exams and suspected interference with your college preferences, the school will fully assist you with the rest of the application process. Don't worry, no one can change your choices. I stood up and bowed to him. Thank you, Principal. The principal waved a hand. "No need to thank me, you've brought honor to the school." After saying that, he added another line in a low voice, "You've also helped us teachers breathe a little easier." That night, for the first time, I became the one everyone was talking about, not Lin Jixia's sister, not that high-achieving doormat. I was Lin Suining, first place in the sciences in Nanjing City, among the top in the province. Looks like she's the top scorer in the province. In the early hours of the morning, someone finally broke the silence in the family chat. Uncle sent a screenshot. It was a congratulatory post the school's official account had just put out. The big red headline stood out sharply: "Warm congratulations to our student Lin Suining for achieving an outstanding score of 725, placing her among the top tier in science across the province." The group chat completely exploded. 725, my god. Is Suining headed for Tsinghua or Peking University? Sis, didn't you say Suining was under too much pressure and not in good shape, and she's such a good kid? Yet you tore up her exam admission ticket. My mom didn't show up, neither did my dad, but Lin Jixia did send a message. "Congratulations, sis." 10 seconds passed, then she took it back. I stared at the other party, withdrew a message notice and gave a soft laugh. In this life, she couldn't even keep up the act of being generous. Chapter 7. At the graduation party, they forced me to give my bonus to my younger sister. I thought that after the exam results came out, they would at least stay quiet. For a few days, as it turned out, I'd still overestimated just how shameless they could be. The next morning, my dad sent me an invitation red with gold foil stamping. It read, "We sincerely invite you to attend the college entrance celebration banquet for my daughters, Lin Suining and Lin Jixia." It was set for 3 days later. The venue was one of the most expensive hotels in Nanjing. I stared at that invitation for a long time, then I laughed. My daughters, Lin Suining and Lin Jixia, my own results were more than enough to justify a banquet like that, but they insisted on putting Lin Jixia's name right next to mine, because a 603 score wasn't worth throwing such a grand banquet for. A 725 score was. They wanted to ride on my success to save Lin Jixia's face. I didn't reply and my father called soon after. "Did you see the invitation?" I did. "Come early that day." "I'm not going." He seemed to have expected me to say that, and lowered his voice. "Lin Suining, don't be stubborn, your results are out now, and all the relatives and friends know. We're throwing you a graduation dinner to honor you." I laughed. "Honor me? Or are you using my scores to make Lin Jixia look good?" My dad was silent for 2 seconds. "Your sister didn't score as well as expected, but 603 is still a good result. Wouldn't it be better for the two of you to hold one together?" "No," I answered immediately. "I don't want to do it with her." My mom's voice cut in from the other end of the line. "You think we wanted to throw this for you? If the relatives didn't all know you did so well on the exam, do you think we'd be spending this kind of money?" I said. "Then don't throw it." My mom's voice trembled with anger. "The hotel's already booked, and the deposit's been paid. Now you're saying not to do it. What does that have to do with me? Didn't you book it yourselves?" My dad snatched the phone back. Suining, his tone changed, growing much gentler. "Your mom and I did do some things wrong before, but there's no grudge a family can't let go of overnight. This celebration is also our way of making it up to you. When the time comes, all the relatives and friends will be there. Your mom will praise you in front of everyone, and Jixia will apologize to you too." I stayed silent for a moment. It wasn't because I'd softened, it was curiosity. What exactly were they trying to get out of me, setting such a huge trap? I asked, and then my dad paused. "There's one more thing, here it comes," he went on. "Doesn't the school offer scholarships? I heard the city also gives awards to top scorers, and there are those corporate sponsorships too. It wouldn't be safe for a kid like you to hold on to that money. You should hand it over to the family first for safekeeping." I closed my eyes briefly. Just as I expected, it was the same in my last life. My competition winnings, tutoring fees, and lucky money all turned into Lin Jixia's the moment they came into this family. This time, I scored 725. What they saw wasn't my future, it was the prize money, the headline, the bragging rights. I asked, "Until when are you going to keep it for me?" My dad said, "I'll give it to you when you need it in college." I laughed. "Dad, do you even believe that yourself?" There was silence on the other end of the line. I went on, "I'm not giving my bonus to the family, and I'm not having my college celebration with Lin Jixia either. If you want to throw one, fine, just don't put my name on it." My dad's tone turned ice cold. "The invitations have already been sent. All the relatives will be there. If you don't show up, you'll make the whole family lose face." I said. "Then I'll go." He froze. I said slowly, "But I can't promise what will happen then." 3 days later, I went to the hotel, and I wasn't alone. Teacher Liang came with me. Qin Yuanan came too. His reason was simple, to watch the show. Teacher Liang glanced at him. "Well, you are honest," Qin Yuanan said expressionlessly. "Just here to bear witness." The celebration banquet was held in the Third floor ballroom, a huge poster was displayed at the entrance. Photos of me and Lin Jixia were placed side by side. My photo was an ID-style picture taken when I entered high school. My hair was a bit messy, and my school uniform collar was crooked. Lin Jixia's photo was clearly an artfully retouched portrait, white dress, long hair, a gentle smile. In the center of the poster, it read, "Success in the Imperial Exams." Two beauties shining together. I stared at it for 2 seconds, then took out my phone and snapped a photo. Mr. Liang frowned. "That's downright disgusting," Chen Yuanan said. "The retouching looks pretty good." I looked at him, he added. "The one of Lin Jixia. Yours looks like a wanted poster." I couldn't help laughing. Quite a few relatives were already seated in the banquet hall. When they saw me come in, the room fell quiet at once. My mom was wearing a red qipao, greeting the guests. When she saw me, the smile on her face froze for a moment before quickly returning. "Sui Ning's here," she said it loudly, as if she wanted everyone to hear. "Come here, let Mom take a look at you." She held out her arms to me. If you took this moment on its own, it would seem so heartwarming. The top scorer on the college entrance exam, a mother-daughter reunion, a celebratory graduation banquet, bringing the family back together. But I didn't go over. I stood where I was. "Mom, stop pretending." The banquet hall fell silent in an instant. The smile on my mom's face stiffened. My dad walked over from the side and said in a low voice, "Lin Xining, there are so many people here today, don't make a scene." I looked at him. "I'm not making a scene, I just want to ask who told you to put my photo on that poster at the entrance." My dad frowned. "You're my daughter. If we're throwing a graduation banquet, whose photo are we supposed to use if not yours? Then may I ask, did I agree to it?" People around us started murmuring. My mom gritted her teeth. "What difference does it make whether you agreed or not? You did well on the exam, and the family is hosting a banquet for you. That's a happy occasion." I ignored her. I went straight to the main table. Lin Jixia was sitting there. Today she was wearing a light blue dress, looking innocent and delicate. When she saw me, she stood up. "Sis, congratulations." This time, she didn't take it back, because there were people all around. I looked at her. "Congratulations to you too." She froze for a moment. I said, 603 points isn't easy either." Lin Jixia's face went white in an instant. A relative nearby awkwardly cleared their throat. My mom immediately came over. "Suining, your sister is already devastated. Do you have to twist the knife?" I turned to look at her. "Mom, isn't this what you called two beauties shining together?" I thought a score of 603 was worth celebrating. My mom was left speechless, her face dark with anger. 10 minutes later, the host stepped onto the stage. They had even hired an MC, holding the microphone with a bright smile. The MC said, "Dear family and friends, today we gather here to celebrate the two daughters of the Lin family for earning top scores on the college entrance exam." Applause broke out, not very enthusiastic, though, after all, everyone knows one scored 725 and the other 603. Calling them the two talented girls is a little awkward, to be honest. The MC went on, "First, let's invite the parents of these two outstanding students to the stage to share their parenting tips." My mom and Dad went up on stage. My mom took the microphone, and her eyes quickly turned red. "Actually, along this whole journey, the hardest ones haven't been the kids, it's been us as parents." As she spoke, she dabbed at the corners of her eyes. "Sui Ning has been strong-willed since she was little, and she's got a stubborn personality. Jixia's health is weak, so naturally we'd take extra care of her. Sometimes Sui Ning may have felt wronged, but a parent's heart is the same for both children." Some people in the audience nodded, while others looked a little uneasy. My mom continued, "Before the college entrance exam, Sui Ning had a bit of a misunderstanding with the family, but we understood. Kids are under so much pressure. Now that she's gotten such a good result, we're happy for her too." My dad took the microphone. "In addition, we'd like to take this opportunity today to announce something." He looked at me. I knew exactly what was coming. "Sure enough," he said, "this time, Sui Ning achieved excellent results, and the school, the city, and social enterprises will all be giving her some rewards. As parents, we've decided to set up a family education fund. This money will be used for Sui Ning and Jixia's future study and living expenses." The room fell silent for a moment. My mom went on, "Sui Ning has always been sensible and has been willing to take care of her younger sister since she was little. I believe she'll support this decision too." All eyes turned to me. They wanted to force me, in front of relatives and friends, at this so-called enrollment banquet. They were trying to put me on the spot. If I refuse, I'll be seen as rude, unfilial, and as someone who doesn't care about my younger sister. If I agree, I'll never get that bonus back. I slowly stood up. Teacher Liang was getting up too. I shook my head at her, then I walked onto the stage. The MC froze for a moment, then handed me the backup microphone. I took the microphone and looked out at the audience. Thank you all for coming to this banquet today, but there's something I need to make clear. My dad's expression changed. Sui Ning. I didn't look at him, I went on. First, I didn't throw this graduation banquet. My name was on the invitation, and my photo was displayed at the entrance, none of which was done with my consent. Second, I will not share any of my graduation bonus with Lin Jixia. Third, I will not hand my money over to the family for safekeeping. The banquet hall fell completely silent. My mom was so angry her lips trembled. Lin Sui Ning, get down here. I didn't get down, I took out my phone. Finally, I have a recording for everyone to hear. My dad suddenly rushed over. Don't play it. Qin Yuanan stood up. Teacher Liang also stood up. My aunt said bluntly, let her play it. My uncle also said in a low voice, Lin Jiangwo, what are you afraid of? My dad froze. I hit play. Voices from the night before the college entrance exam came through the phone. My mom's voice was crystal clear. If your sister gets hurt because of you, what's the point of getting into Tsinghua? Then came the sound of paper being torn to pieces. Then there was my dad, Sui Ning. It's not that we don't want you to keep studying, it's just that this year is different. If your sister flunks her exam, her life will be ruined. 3 minutes and 42 seconds, the entire banquet hall fell silent. The recording ended. I looked up at the relatives sitting below the stage. This is what they call a misunderstanding. This is what they call family. And now, they want to take my college enrollment bonus and set up some so-called family education fund. I turned and looked at my parents. Dad, Mom, I'm here today, just so I could go along with you and humiliate myself to the end. Happy now. My mother clutched her chest, looking as if she were about to faint, but this time, no one helped her. Even Lin Jixia remained in her seat, her face deathly pale, motionless. I handed the microphone back to the host. I won't be staying for the meal. Enjoy your dinner, everyone. I stepped down from the stage. As I passed by Lin Jixia, she suddenly grabbed the hem of my clothes. Tears fell in big drops. Sis, do you have to ruin this family? I stopped and looked down at her. Lin Jixia, I'm not the one who ruined this family. It was already rotten the moment you made me your sacrifice. Chapter 8. I played the recording in public. That college admission banquet ended up becoming a joke. By the time I walked out of the hotel, everything behind me was already in chaos. The relatives were whispering among themselves. Some said my parents had gone too far. Some said I was heartless. Some said Lin Jixia was pitiful. Others said, what's there to pity? Her sister nearly got ruined the night before the college entrance exam, and she didn't lift a finger to stop it. I didn't look back. The wind outside the hotel was a little warm. Teacher Liang walked beside me. Do you regret it? I shook my head. No. Qin Yuanan followed behind, still holding a bag of takeaway pastries. I looked at him. When did you pack this? He said. When you were playing the recording just now. Me. Teacher Liang. Qin Yuanan was very calm. The dishes are pretty expensive. We can't waste them. I suddenly burst out laughing. The more I laughed, the more tears came. Teacher Liang didn't comfort me. He just stood there beside me, waiting for me to finish laughing. Some things can't just be cut off because you say so. 18 years, I really used to think of them as family, so when I personally played that recording, what I felt wasn't just satisfaction, it hurt too, like reopening a rotten wound and cutting it open again. But if I didn't open it up, it would never heal. That night, the video from the college celebration party spread online. I didn't post it. Someone in the family had filmed it. The short video title was eye-catching. Girl who scored 725 on the Gaokao plays a recording at her college celebration. Her parents once tried to force her to give up the exam and let her younger sister take it. The video went viral locally very quickly. The comment section blew up. Did she tear up her college entrance exam admission ticket the night before the Gaokao? Is that really her mom? The younger sister scored 603, the older sister 725. And they still wanted to use the older sister's bonus to help the younger one. When that mom said, so what if you get into Tsinghua? I was ready to throw hands. I suggest checking the application choices. What if they really got changed? That older sister is so level-headed. If it were me, I would have fallen apart long ago. Some people were even insulting me. No matter what, they're still her parents. Playing the recording in public was too ruthless. Someone immediately replied below, if her parents could ruin her Gaokao, what's wrong with her playing a recording? Don't tell people to be magnanimous if you've never had to suffer what they've suffered. Tearing up an admission ticket the night before the college entrance exam isn't a family matter. It's on the edge of criminal behavior. The heat is only growing. The school contacted me right away. The principal's tone was serious. Sui Ning, don't respond yet. Protect yourself. The city has already taken notice. If anyone harasses you later, report it directly to the school. I said, thank you, principal. After hanging up, I got a text from my dad. Was it you who posted the video? I replied, no. He texted again, happy now. Your mom was so angry she ended up in the hospital. Your sister cried herself unconscious, and you've ruined this family. I looked at that line of text, feeling nothing at all. I replied, send me the hospital records. The other side didn't reply, as I thought. It was fake. Half an hour later, my mom started calling me, one after another. I blocked her. She switched numbers. I kept blocking them. In the end, she sent me a long text message, swooning, Mom. Admits she was too impulsive the night before the college entrance exam, but Mom had no choice. Xia has been in poor health since childhood, and as the older sister, I always thought you were stronger. It's not that Mom doesn't love you. I just thought you could take on a little more. You've blown this up so much now. Are you trying to drive Mom to her death? I stared at it for a long time, then took a screenshot and saved it. No response. She wasn't apologizing. She'd realized public opinion wasn't on her side and started trying a different way to pressure me. The next morning, my dad actually showed up at Teacher Liang's apartment complex. He was standing downstairs, holding a thermos container. When Teacher Liang got the call from property management, her face was ashen. How did he find this place? I said. He probably tracked me. Teacher Liang called the police immediately. The police arrived very quickly. When I went downstairs, my dad was standing at the entrance of the residential complex, looking like he'd aged 10 years overnight. When he saw me, his eyes lit up for a moment. Swooning, he handed over the insulated container. Your mom made chicken soup. I didn't take it. He looked a little uncomfortable. Don't worry, I don't mean anything by it. Your mom cried all night. She knows she was wrong. I looked at him. Then why didn't she come? My dad said nothing. I said for him. Because she thinks bowing her head is humiliating, so she sent you instead. My dad let out a sigh, swooning. Why do we have to make a family matter like this? There it was again. In my previous life, hearing that made me want to cry. In this life, hearing it makes me want to laugh. I asked, Dad, do you know what I hate most? He frowned. I said, it's not that you play favorites, and it's not that you love Lin Xixia more. What I hate most is that you clearly don't love me, yet you keep demanding that I sacrifice myself by the standards of how much I love you. My dad tightened his grip on the thermos. How could we not love you when you were sick as a child? Wasn't it your mom and me who took you to the hospital? I looked at him. Which time? He froze. I went on. The night I had a 104-degree fever when I was 7. Did you take me to the hospital? No, because Lin Xixia had to be on stage the next day for a piano competition, and you were afraid of waking her. It was the neighbor lady who carried me to the community clinic. My father's face changed. I asked again. When I broke my arm in 8th grade, did you come to the school? No, because Lin Xixia said she had a stomachache at home. In the end, it was my homeroom teacher who took me to get a cast. My father opened his mouth, but no words came out. I looked at him. See, you don't even remember, but I remember everything. A flicker of panic finally appeared in his eyes, swooning. Dad, I cut him off. Don't come back. You can't change my college choices, and you won't get my scholarship money either. If you keep harassing me, I'll seek legal protection. The police came over, Mr. Lin, the candidate has clearly stated that they do not wish to see you right now. Please leave. My father looked at me, his expression complicated. There was anger, resentment, and a hint of belated remorse, but that remorse came too late. I didn't need it by the time it finally arrived. In the end, he took the thermos and left. Teacher Liang asked softly, Are you okay? I nodded. I'm fine. I wasn't just putting on a brave face. I really was fine, because this time, I wasn't the one leaving, and I wasn't the one left behind to bear the embarrassment either. Chapter 9. My younger sister's competition paper is exposed as plagiarized. Before college applications opened, the school arranged for a dedicated teacher to help me plan. Both the admissions teams from Tsinghua and Peking University reached out to me. The calls kept coming one after another. It was the first time I realized that once your score is high enough, the choices will come to you. Not like in my last life. I knelt before fate and begged it to give me a way forward. In the end, I chose Peking University's Guanghua management track, not because it was the most popular, but because in my last life, what I lacked most was the ability to take control of my own life. I want to learn how to understand the rules, and how to rise above them. On the day I submitted my choices, Teacher Liang, the principal, and the grade director were all there beside me. Enter the verification code, confirm submission. A system prompt popped up, college application submitted successfully. Looking at those words, a weight finally lifted from my chest. Mr. Lian let out a long sigh of relief. All right, now no one can change it. The principal was even happier than I was. Now we wait for the acceptance letter. That night, I went to bed early, but Lin Xixia didn't sleep. At 1 in the morning, she sent me a WeChat message. Sis, are you really just going to abandon me? I stared at the message and didn't reply. She sent another one. I know you hate me. But I'm really out of options. My exam score is in this awkward middle ground. Mom and Dad want me to repeat the year, but I can't face doing it all over again. Could you ask around in the capital and see if any schools offer special admission recommendations? I laughed. She actually had the nerve to ask, I replied. On what grounds for a special recommendation? The typing indicator popped up almost immediately. After a long while, her message came through. Didn't I win first prize in that youth innovation paper competition? If we could get in touch with the right professor, there might be a chance. I stared at the words first prize in the youth innovation essay competition, squinting slightly. Of course I remembered that award. In my second year of high school, the school held an innovation essay contest. I wrote a research report on how educational resources were distributed across the county. After I finished the first draft, Lin Jixia said she wanted to enter too, but didn't know how to write it. My mom told me to help her. Your sister isn't in good health and can't stay up late. You're the older one, so help guide her. And I really did. I outlined the structure for her, gathered materials, and even gave her a copy of my own research data. In the end, my paper only won second prize at the school level, but Lin Jixia won first prize at the city level. Back then, I found it odd, because her research focus was exactly the same as mine, but she said her advisor had helped her revise it. I didn't think much of it. Looking back now, something was off. It was way too off. I replied, that award, are you sure you can still use it? Lin Jixia didn't reply right away. 2 minutes later, she sent, sis, what do you mean? I didn't answer. I turned on my computer and started digging through old files. I have a habit. I back up everything I've ever written, first drafts, revisions, data sheets, interview recordings. It's all there. That paper from my sophomore year of high school is there too. I placed my original draft side by side with the abstract from Lin Jixia's award announcement. The similarity was glaring, especially in the core data and conclusions. It was almost my exact wording, with just a few words swapped out. I stared at the screen for a long time, so it wasn't just the college entrance exam she had been stealing from me for a very long time. My grades, my scholarships, my research papers, my parents' favor, even my life. I compiled all the evidence, but instead of sending it out immediately, I first contacted the teacher who oversaw the competition back then. After seeing the materials, they fell silent for a long while. He concluded by saying, Lin Suining, we will reinvestigate this matter. 3 days later, the organizing committee of the Nanjiang City Youth Innovation Practice Competition issued an announcement following a review. The first prize-winning entry for 2024, a study on the mobility of county-level educational resources and family choices, has been found to contain serious academic misconduct. The award is hereby revoked, and further investigation into the relevant parties has been initiated. The announcement did not name anyone, but the news was spreading like wildfire through the school, because the first prize winner was named Lin Jixia. When she called me, her voice was cracking. Lin Suining, was it you? I sat at my desk, flipping through the university freshman handbook. You're talking about the paper, she cried out. Why are you doing this to me? I shot back, harming you, Lin Jixia. You took my first draft, my data, and my conclusions to enter the competition. Now that the committee has withdrawn your award, that's me harming you. Her voice dropped at once. Back then, Mom was the one who told me to use it. She said you were good at school and didn't need one more award. She said I needed that award. I gripped my phone. Such familiar words. You're a good student. You don't need it. She does, so that makes it okay to take it, okay to steal. Go ahead, try to snatch it, I said, then go find your mother and have her explain it to the organizing committee for you. Lin Jixia started crying even harder. You know perfectly well there's no way to explain this. My life is miserable enough already. I messed up the college entrance exam, my admission banquet is gone, and everyone online is tearing me apart. Why are you still coming after me? I put down the book in my hand. Because you owe me. She froze. I said, word by word, you're not miserable, you just failed, for once, to build your good life by stepping on me. I heard stifled sobs on the other end of the line. I didn't hang up. I waited for her to finish crying. She finally spoke, her voice tinged with a hint of resentment. Lin Suining, do you think scoring 725 means you've won? Don't forget, Mom and Dad are still my parents. This house is still my home. I laughed. I hope you two stay together forever. With that, I hung up the phone. The next day, the school called me in for a talk. It wasn't a reprimand, just an inquiry to understand the situation. I handed over all the original materials, including the creation timestamp of the first draft, the raw survey data tables, interview recordings, revision logs, and even the chat history where Lin Jixia had previously asked me for the materials. The teacher's expression was complicated after reading it. Suining, why didn't you say anything back then? I was silent for a moment, because at the time, I thought she had only used my materials. I also thought that between family, there was no need to keep score over so much. The teacher sighed, and now, I looked up. Now I understand. Not everyone deserves to be family. This matter quickly spread online. The buzz from the college acceptance celebration video hadn't even died down yet, and now it's followed by younger sister suspected of plagiarizing older sister's award-winning paper. The internet has completely lost it. Is the younger sister a vampire or something? First, the older sister's college entrance exam was almost sabotaged, then her prize money was nearly stolen, and now her paper is plagiarized. Is the whole family just leeching off this one kid? The older sister should cut ties, ASAP. This time, my parents finally panicked, because this was no longer just a family dispute, it involved academic misconduct, the school's reputation, and Lin Jixia's future academic records. Her model student persona began to completely crumble. Chapter 10. The family group chat explodes. My dad begs me to take down the video. The family group chat exploded for the third time the night the organizing committee's announcement came out. My aunt sent a long voice message right away. Sis, what on earth is going on with your family? I already thought what happened to Suining the night before her college entrance exam was outrageous enough. And now, what's this about Jixia's paper? Did you even know she used Suining's work to enter the competition? My mom didn't reply for a long time. Finally, she sent one message. How is sharing references between kids considered plagiarism? My uncle was furious. Sharing references. Suining has the raw data, the original draft's creation timestamp, and the interview recordings. What does Jixia have? What does she have? Grandma sent a voice message, crying, stop fighting, please stop, what will people think? Seeing our family in such a state, this time, no one responded to her, because everyone could see it now. This wasn't just a fight, it was rotten beyond any hope of covering it up. I didn't say a word in the group chat, but I saw every single thing they said. My mom was still trying to explain. Jixia was so young back then, she just wanted to prove herself too badly. As the older sister, is Suining completely blameless? If she had been willing to properly help her sister back then, would Jixia have gone down the wrong path? My aunt replied, sis, listen to yourself. Does that even sound like something a decent person would say? The group chat fell silent again. I stared at the screen. It suddenly struck me that my aunt's criticism was spot on. The next second, my dad sent me a private message. Suining, we need to talk. I didn't reply. He sent another message. Dad, I'm begging you. I stared at the words begging you and froze for a moment. It was the first time he had ever used that word with me. From childhood until now, what I've heard most from him were orders. Give it to your sister, be more sensible, stop making a scene, come here, apologize. He has never begged me for anything, I replied. Talk about what? He responded almost instantly. Can you get someone to take down that video online? I laughed. So he wasn't begging me to come home, he wasn't begging for my forgiveness, he was begging me to delete the video. I replied. I didn't post it, he sent, but you can clear things up. Just say it was all a misunderstanding that day. Say mom and dad never forced you to give up the exam. Say you and Jixia have already talked through the whole plagiarism issue. If you just step forward, this whole mess can be swept under the rug. I stared at the words, my expression turning cold. Bit by bit, he was still texting. Suining, you've already been accepted into Peking University, your future is bright, but Jixia is different. If this gets recorded in her file this time, she's finished. I replied, so, he sent, help her one last time. I let out a laugh. One last time. Every single time they took something from me, they said it was the last time. The spot in the middle school competition was the last chance, the high school scholarship was the last chance, the thesis data was the last chance, the college entrance exam opportunity was also the last chance. I replied, I won't help. There was a long silence on the other end. Then, my dad called. I answered. His voice sounded exhausted. Suining, I'm really at my wit's end. Your sister hasn't eaten or drunk anything for 2 days, and your mother has fallen ill. The things people are saying online are just too vicious. If this goes on, this family really will fall apart. I said. Then let it fall apart. His breath hitched. How can you be so heartless, Dad? My tone was very calm. When you tore up my admission ticket, you didn't think you were being cold-hearted. When you hacked into my application system, you didn't think you were being cold-hearted. When Lin Jixia plagiarized my paper, you didn't think you were being cold-hearted either. Now that the knife is at your own throat, it starts to hurt. I could hear heavy breathing on the other end of the line. After a long silence, he said, do you have to drive your sister to her death? There it was again, the exact same script. I closed my eyes. Dad, I didn't force her. The organizing committee asked her to explain, and she could explain. The school asked her to submit materials, and she could submit them. If netizens are criticizing her, she can fight back with evidence. If she can't do it, Then that's not me forcing her, she's just being caught up with what she did. He was speechless. I went on, as for the video, I'm not going to clear it up, because that wasn't a misunderstanding. The recording was real, tearing up my exam admission ticket was real, and you wanting me to skip the exam was real, so I'm not going to lie. My dad's voice dropped. Swinning, you weren't like this before. I suddenly laughed. Yeah. I used to be too easy to fool, that's why you miss those days. There was complete silence on the other end of the line. I thought he was going to die, but he didn't. Much later, he suddenly asked, so what is it you actually want? I thought about it. I'd asked myself that question in my past life too. What did I want? For them to apologize, for them to regret it, for them to taste what it feels like to be abandoned too. I used to think so. Now I know it wasn't entirely true. What I really want is for them to never be able to decide my life again. So I said, I want to transfer my household registration. My dad's voice shot up sharply. Impossible. I knew it. He wouldn't agree. Even if he didn't love me, he still wouldn't allow me to break free from his control. I said, then we'll do it through legal channels. I'm already an adult. After I'm admitted to college, I can apply to move my registration to the school's collective household. If you won't cooperate, I'll have the school and the relevant departments help. My dad said angrily. Lin Suining, are you determined to cut ties with the family completely? Yes, this time. I didn't hesitate. Cut it clean. He was so furious his voice even changed. Don't you regret this? I said softly. Dad, the thing I regret most is not cutting ties sooner in my previous life. He didn't understand, but I didn't need him to. I hung up, then backed up the recording of this call. It was a habit I'd developed after being reborn. Keep proof of everything. Never take anything at face value without evidence, because I finally understood that if kindness isn't protected by evidence, it becomes a weakness for others to exploit. 3 days later, the admissions results from Jing University were released. I was officially admitted. The moment the admission page popped up, I didn't scream, and I didn't cry. I just took a screenshot and sent it to Mr. Liang. It took Mr. Liang half a minute to reply, congratulations, Lin Suining, this time, you're truly free. I stared at those words, and my eyes slowly welled up. Freedom. I realized those 2 words made me want to cry even more than getting into KO University. That night, I posted a screenshot of my admission offer on Moments. No long-winded speech, just one sentence, keep moving forward, and don't look back. A few minutes later, the likes started rolling in. Teachers, classmates, my aunt, my uncle, and many people I didn't really know. Lin Jixia didn't like it. My mom didn't either. My dad, on the other hand, did look at it. 10 minutes later, he sent me a text. Should the admission letter be sent to our home, or to the school? I stared at that text. I replied with just 2 words, the school. This time, I wouldn't let them touch the admission letter at all. Chapter 11. The admissions team comes to the house, and my parents start putting on a show of affection. On the 3rd day after Peking University's admission results came out, the school told me to go to the office. When I arrived, the principal, teacher Liang, and the grade level director were all there were also 2 teachers who had come from Jing City. One of them was surnamed Zhou, in his 40s, wearing silver-rimmed glasses, and spoke very gently. Congratulations, Lin Suining. I shook hands with them. Thank you, teachers, Teacher Zhou said with a smile. We came this time, first, to formally confirm your intention to enroll, and second, to understand the practical difficulties you're facing. He put it very tactfully, but I knew they had already seen those videos online. What happened in my family had already blown up into more than just a topic in the relatives chat group. Local media had reposted it, school forums had discussed it, and someone had even dug up what my mom had once said in the parents group. Our Suining is the older sister, mature for her age, and always lets her younger sister have her way. Even if a girl gets excellent grades, she shouldn't be too selfish. As a family, it's more important to support each other than to score a perfect grade. Those words once sounded like a mother's gentle guidance. Now, all that remains is suffocating favoritism. Teacher Zhou looked at me. We've already spoken with the admissions office about your acceptance letter. It can be sent directly to your school. As for the enrollment documents later on, if you're worried about them getting lost, the school can hold on to them temporarily for you. My shoulders eased. Thank you, teacher. Teacher Liang, standing nearby, also let out a breath of relief. These past few days, she'd been even more worried than I was, worried that once the acceptance letter was mailed to my home, my parents would withhold it, worried they'd block my household registration transfer documents, worried they'd once again use the name of family to reach for my future and snatch it away. Teacher Zhou went on, also, the school has a new student support program. Your situation is a bit special, so scholarships, grants, and some corporate funding can all go through a dedicated Fast track channel first. I pressed my lips together. Teacher, I'm not financially disadvantaged. Even as I said it, I couldn't help but feel how ironic it sounded. Legally speaking, I wasn't. I had parents, a roof over my head, and my family wasn't exactly poor, but in reality, I had never truly had any money of my own. When I was little, the New Year money I got was handed to my mom for safekeeping, and later it became Lin Shishia's piano lesson fees. In middle school, I turned over the prize money from competitions to the family, and later it became Lin Shishia's birthday gift. The money I earned from tutoring in high school was taken by my mom, who said, "The household expenses are high." She said it so naturally, as if my money was always meant to end up in their hands. Teacher Joe saw my hesitation. Lin Swaining, financial aid doesn't mean you have to be poor. It also includes support for students facing special hardships. Your biggest problem right now isn't your grades, it's how to make a smooth transition out of your family of origin. He said it very softly, yet it hit me hard in the heart. Make a smooth transition, so even leaving a home is something that needs protecting. I said quietly, I understand. Teacher Joe nodded. There's something else. Your parents contacted the admissions office this morning. I looked up. Teacher Liang's expression turned cold in an instant. What are they trying to do now? Teacher Joe didn't hide anything. They said they hoped the admissions team could come to our home for an interview. That your mother had sacrificed a great deal to raise you, and that they wanted to leave behind a precious video record of it. I laughed. A precious video record, what a nice way to put it. Weren't they just trying to use the Peking University admissions team's footage to whitewash themselves? The principal didn't look pleased either. They even called me and said they wanted to work with the school on publicity. They'd already come up with the theme. A humble background gives rise to a noble daughter. Good family values nurture outstanding talent. Teacher Liang was so angry he jumped to his feet, as if they deserve it. The office fell silent for a moment. The department head pushed up his glasses. Old Liang, watch your wording. Teacher Liang gave a cold laugh. I've been very careful. Teacher Joe looked at me. We respect your wishes. If you don't want to take part in a family interview, the school won't arrange one, I said. I won't take part. I can cooperate with the school interview, and I can also thank the teachers, but my parents shouldn't appear on camera, my younger sister either. Teacher Joe nodded. All right, we'll respect your wishes. I thought that was the end of it, but just after noon, my mom showed up at the school. She was wearing a light-colored dress, her hair neatly pinned up, and she was carrying a bag of fruit. The guard wouldn't let her in, so she just stood at the school gate and cried. She cried very quietly, holding it back, not the kind of crying that turns into a scene, but with red-rimmed eyes and trembling shoulders, like a mother whose heart had been broken by her daughter. People passing by couldn't help but look at her. She just lowered her head and wiped away her tears. By the time I got the call and came downstairs, several people had already gathered at the entrance. When my mother saw me, she immediately took a step forward. Sui Ning, her voice was hoarse. Mom just wanted to come see you. I was standing inside the school gate. She was standing outside the school gate. A wrought iron gate separated us. It was just like in my past life, when I was locked in a room and she stood outside the door, saying, Suining, stop making a fuss. Once the Chinese exam is over, we'll let you out. No, it was her turn not to get in, and I looked at her. What do you need? Her eyes reddened at once. Can't I just come see you for no reason? You got in, didn't you? Can't Mom be happy for you? As she spoke, she held out the fruit. These are your favorite cherries. I glanced at them. I'm allergic to cherries. Her hand froze. People around us started murmuring quietly. My mom's face went pale for a moment, then she quickly forced a smile. Mom's getting old and mixed things up. You clearly used to love them when you were little, I said. The one who loved them was Lin Jixia. She was completely speechless. I didn't give her an out. Mom, did you come to school to see me? Or to meet the admissions team? Her expression changed. Why do you have to think so badly of your mother, child? I said calmly. Because you've always been this bad. Tears suddenly fell from her eyes. Suining, do you really have to hurt your mother like this? I admit it, I did favor Jixia before, but wasn't that because she was in poor health? You've always been so outstanding, never giving us anything to worry about. I thought you didn't need that from me. I looked at her. What do I not need? What? I don't need an admission ticket, I don't need a college choice list, I don't need money, or I don't need Mom and Dad. She opened her mouth, but not a word came out. I went on. It's not that you think I don't need them, it's that you think I don't deserve them. The words seemed to strike her, and she swayed slightly. No, Sui Ning, no. She reached out, trying to grab my hand. I took a step back. She grabbed at nothing. The security guard stood nearby and said quietly, Ma'am, you're not allowed in without permission from The school, my mom turned to look at the guard, her composure finally cracked a little. In the past, she always held the upper hand in front of me, because she was my mother, because she knew I cared about her, but now she realized she couldn't get into the school gates, and she couldn't get into my world either. She started to panic. I looked at the bag of fruit in her hands. Mom, take it back, you bought the wrong ones this time. You don't need to buy them anymore. Her voice trembled. Suining, are you really not going to want your mom anymore? I said. It was you who stopped wanting me first, the night before the college entrance exam. The moment you tore up your admission ticket, you had already made your choice. After saying that, I turned and walked back. Behind me, I heard her muffled sobs, but I didn't look back. When I reached the entrance to the teaching building, I saw someone standing by the second-floor window. Lin Jixia. I didn't know when she had come to school. Too, she was looking at me, her expression so dark it was chilling. In that moment, I suddenly understood she wasn't going to give up, she was just waiting for the next chance. Chapter 12. I refused the whole family photo. The school interview was scheduled for a week later. The location was the honors hall at Nanjing No. 1 high school. I had originally thought it would just be a few simple photos and a short written report, but when the day came, 3 cars were parked at the school gate. Besides the school's official WeChat team, there were also people from the local TV station and the Education Bureau's publicity department. The principal was grinning from ear to ear. Suining, don't be nervous, just speak normally. I nodded. Teacher Liang stood beside me and asked in a low voice, are you nervous? I said, not really. She was even more nervous than I was, fussing over my collar the whole time. Is this button crooked? No. What about my hair? Looks good. Smile. I looked at her. Teacher, I'm not going on a blind date. Teacher Liang froze for a moment. The grade-level head standing nearby couldn't help but laugh. Before the interview began, Mr. Zhou had also arrived. He said the admission letter had already been sent out from Beijing City and was expected to arrive at the school tomorrow. Those words warmed my heart. Everything was moving forward. The interview went very smoothly. The reporter asked me how I managed to keep going during the toughest time in senior year of high school. I said, with the help of my teachers, and by relying on myself. The reporter asked again, is there anything you'd like to say to the younger students? I thought about it. Don't hand over your life for someone else to keep. The hall fell silent for a moment. The reporter looked up at me. I went on, grades matter, but what matters even more is knowing why you're putting in the effort. If you don't stand up for yourself, someone else may take away your right to choose. So study hard, but also protect yourself. The reporter didn't interrupt. Teacher Liang stood just outside the camera frame, her eyes a little red. As the interview was drawing to a close, a commotion suddenly broke out at the entrance. I turned to look. My parents were here, and they weren't the only ones. Lin Jixia had come too. My mom was wearing a simple qipao, her face pale, as if she had been ill. My dad was in a suit. Lin Jixia was wearing a white dress, her eyes red-rimmed. The 3 of them were standing at the entrance. To anyone who didn't know better, it would look like they were the ones who had been abandoned by me. The principal's expression changed in an instant. Who told them to come? No one said a word. I understood quickly. They didn't need anyone to tell them. They had been keeping a close eye on the school all along. With such a big media interview going on, how could they not have known? The moment my mom saw the camera, tears welled up in her eyes. Suining, she called me softly. Her voice was barely above a whisper, but it was enough for the camera to pick up. Mom's late. She stepped forward. Teacher Liang stepped straight in front of me. Ms. Lin, family members weren't invited to today's interview. My mom's face turned pale. I'm her mother. She got into Jing University. Why can't I be here? The reporters exchanged glances. They probably hadn't expected to run into something like this. My father stepped forward, his attitude far more cordial than before. Principal, we don't mean anything by it. We're happy our child did well, too. There were some misunderstandings at home before, and it all got a bit ugly. On such an important day, we just want to take a family photo with our child. A family photo. The moment those 3 words were spoken, the air in the room changed. I looked toward Lin Jixia. She stood at the back, her expression gentle and vulnerable, but there was a hint of smugness hidden in her eyes. They had done their math well. They brought it up in front of the reporters, the admissions staff, the principal, and people from the Education Bureau, asking for a family photo. If I refused, then in everyone's eyes I'd be the daughter who was cold-hearted, unfilial, and refusing to give her parents a way out. If I agreed, they could use that photo to tell everyone, look, we've already made up, it was all just a misunderstanding online. The Lin family was still as harmonious as ever. My dad had even already struck the right pose. He looked at me with gentle eyes. Suining, Dad knows you're still mad, but today is Your big day, so let's not argue, just take one photo. My mom nodded through her tears. Mom's begging you. Just one, Lin Jixia also said softly. Sister, everyone's watching. I laughed. Yeah, everyone was watching, so this time, I need to make it crystal clear. I walked up to the camera. The reporter instinctively handed me the microphone. I took it, then I looked at my dad. Dad, you said there was a misunderstanding in the family, so can you tell everyone on camera what that misunderstanding is? My dad's expression stiffened. My mom immediately spoke up, swooning. Let's not bring up anything unpleasant today. I cut her off. But weren't you here to make up? Before making up, shouldn't we clear things up first? The honor room fell silent. I looked into the camera. I'm willing to take the family photo. A hint of joy had just appeared in my parents' eyes. I went on. But before we take it, I have 3 questions. First, who tore up my exam admission ticket on the eve of the college entrance exam? My mom went deathly pale, swooning. I didn't stop. Second, who was trying to log into my application system before and after the score release? My dad pressed his lips together. Third, for Lin Jixia's award-winning paper, whose were the original data and the first draft? Lin Jixia suddenly looked up, tears spilling down her face in an instant. Sis, do you really have to say this here? I looked at her. Wasn't it you who reminded me that everyone was watching? She was speechless. I gripped the microphone tightly. You want a family photo? Fine, answer me first. No one answered, not a single one. I nodded. Then there's no need to take it. I handed the microphone back to the reporter. I refuse. My mother clutched her chest, as if she'd suffered some terrible grievance. How could you do this? I said. Mom, I'd like to ask you the same thing. How could you do this? How could you tear up my exam admission ticket? How could you make me give up the college entrance exam? How could you use my score to put on a show for Lin Jixia? And how can you still think that just because you cry a little, I should play along with your act of a loving mother and dutiful daughter? My mother's tears fell even harder, but this time, the camera wasn't pointed at her, it was pointed at me. I said, word by word, I don't accept emotional blackmail, I don't accept an unconsented family photo, and I don't accept any kind of staged reconciliation. I am not reconciled with them, not yet, and in the future, that may not change. The reporter froze for a few seconds, then he steadily turned the camera toward me. I know this line will definitely be edited in, and it will stir up controversy once again, but I'm not afraid. Once you stop fearing the loss of things you never even had, you become truly free. My dad's face had already turned as dark as it could get, but in front of so many people, he couldn't blow up. He could only lower his voice and say, swooning, do you have to destroy us? I shook my head slightly. Dad, you can't destroy me, and I'm not interested in destroying you. I'm just uncovering for you. As soon as the words left my mouth, hurried footsteps suddenly sounded from outside the door. A teacher from the academic affairs office walked in and whispered a few words into the principal's ear. The principal's face changed. He looked up at me, then at my parents. Mr. Lin. Mrs. Lin, the Education Bureau just received a report. Someone has filed a real name accusation, alleging that student Lin Suaning's college entrance exam results are anomalous and suggest possible cheating. The entire honors room fell deathly silent in an instant. I hadn't even spoken yet. Lin Jixia's face went pale. I watched her, then I suddenly smiled. The informant's surname is Lin, isn't it? Chapter 13. My sister turns around and accuses me of cheating. The anonymous letter arrived swiftly, so swiftly, it seemed premeditated. By the time the principal escorted me to the conference room, the Education Bureau had already called. The message was clear. Someone had reported my college entrance exam results as suspicious. There are 3 main reasons. First, I had a major conflict with my family right before the college entrance exam, so my mental state couldn't possibly have been stable. Second, although my usual grades are good, I have never scored as high as 725 before. Third, my answer to the final, most difficult math problem was suspiciously complete, raising doubts that I had seen similar questions in advance. The report also included several screenshots. They were my scores from previous mock exams. The highest was 701, the lowest was 674. There was indeed no score of 725. There was also a photo, a group picture from when I participated in the provincial level exam question design camp. The informant claimed I might have had access to similar questions through a test design workshop. After reading the materials, I actually felt a sense of calm. It's not a sophisticated tactic, but it's malicious enough. Once the label of cheating is attached to your college entrance exam results, even if you're later cleared, the stain remains, especially when the university acceptance letter is about to arrive. This accusation letter isn't about uncovering the truth, it's meant to hold me back, to sicken me, to ruin my reputation. Teacher Liang was so angry her hands were trembling. What nonsense. Suaning's grades throughout her final year are all on record. She was consistently ranked first in the school during The final stretch, her ability to solve the final, most difficult math problem is a testament to her skill. How can that possibly be grounds for an accusation? The principal's expression was grim as well. The Education Bureau has requested our cooperation in the investigation, but this is just the preliminary acceptance stage. It won't affect the admission results. After he finished speaking, he looked at me. Sweeney, you don't need to be afraid. I nodded. I'm not afraid, and I truly wasn't, because I knew the surveillance footage from the Gaokao exam hall wouldn't lie, my scratch paper wouldn't lie, and my usual academic record wouldn't lie, yet I still felt sick to my stomach. It was like someone had thrown a handful of mud into a glass of clean water. Even if you could filter it clean in the end, the very sight of it in that moment would make you nauseous. That evening, I received a message from Lin Jixia. Sis, I heard someone reported you. Are you okay? Looking at those two messages, I almost laughed out loud. She's always like this, stabs you in the back, then asks if it hurts. I didn't reply. She sent another message. I believe you probably didn't cheat, but some things are better investigated thoroughly. It's only fair to you. I replied. Have you signed up to repeat the year yet? There was a long silence on the other end. Then she sent, what do you mean by that? I replied, a 603. Getting into a good school will be tough. The awards are revoked, and the special recommendation is gone. I suggest you repeat the year. She finally dropped the act. Lin Sweeney, don't get too cocky. Do you think everyone will always be on your side? With even a shadow of doubt, your 725 isn't clean. I stared at that message and took a screenshot. Then I replied to her, thanks for the reminder. This message will be submitted as evidence. She immediately deleted it. Too bad. I already took a screenshot. The investigation team arrived at the school the next day. There were 2 staff from the Education Bureau, 1 from the Examination Authority, and a disciplinary inspection officer. The procedure was very formal. They reviewed my senior year grade trends, examined the exam hall surveillance footage, cross-referenced my answer sheet, scratch paper, and exam paper for markings, and interviewed each of my subject teachers individually. The math teacher was the most worked up. What's so strange about Lin Sweeney solving the final, most difficult problem? She loves studying these kinds of questions in her spare time. For the last question on this year's 3rd mock exam, she was the only one in the entire school who got it right. If you start suspecting students of cheating just because they're too outstanding, who will dare to excel in the future? The investigators took notes very patiently. When it was my turn, they questioned me in great detail. Have you ever participated in a provincial-level exam question setting workshop? Yes, I have. Have you had any prior exposure to this year's college entrance exam math questions? No. When you saw the final, most difficult problem on the exam, did it seem familiar? I nodded. The model seemed familiar. The staff member looked up. I continued. During the winter break question designing camp in my senior year, I once created a model that combined functions and sequences. The exam question wasn't identical, but the underlying approach was similar. I can submit the draft from that training session. They immediately asked to see it. I pulled up the file on my computer. The creation time, revision history, and the teacher's comments are all here. After reading it, the investigator's expression softened a little. So, you were able to solve this problem completely because you've done extensive training on similar models? Yes. You hadn't seen the problem beforehand? No. I paused for a moment. If necessary, I can walk through my problem-solving process right now. The math teacher immediately said, go ahead. After speaking, he realized he had gotten too excited and cleared his throat. The investigator nodded, then just write it out briefly. I picked up the pen. Starting from the given conditions, I derived the solution step by step. Why construct the function first? Why introduce an auxiliary sequence? Why the final part required bounding? And the squeeze theorem I wrote very quickly, because this line of reasoning had already run through my mind countless times. 15 minutes later, the whiteboard was full. No one in the conference room spoke. Finally, the teacher from the examination board gave a slight nod. The logic is complete. I didn't memorize the answers. As those words hung in the air, Ms. Liang's eyes instantly welled up. I put down my pen, my palms slightly damp with sweat. It wasn't fear, it was exhaustion. I earned that score fair and square through my own ability, yet here I was, having to prove I didn't cheat, but I also knew I had to get through this. Only then would Lin Jixia be completely defeated. After the investigation panel left, the principal called me over. Sweeney, there's one more thing. I looked up. The principal's expression was complicated. Some of the evidence in the report doesn't seem like something a student could have gotten their hands on. I already had a pretty good idea. My dad. The principal neither confirmed nor denied it. For example, the screenshots of some of your mock exam results came from the parents' group chat, and the photo of you at the exam question drafting camp was originally only shared in a notification for parents. The person who could provide these materials would have to be your guardian. I fell silent. It wasn't really a surprise, but hearing it confirmed still felt like a needle to the heart. So it wasn't just Lin Jixia, my father was in on it too. He begged me to delete the video, and I refused. He begged me to clear Lin Jixia's name, and I refused. Now, he's helping her report me for cheating. I suddenly remembered what he said on the phone that day. If Jixia gets this on her permanent record, she's finished. So, to save Lin Jixia from ruin, they're perfectly willing to ruin me instead. Some things never change, do they? Not from the very beginning. That night, I called my father. He picked up almost immediately, swooning. There was even a hint of anticipation in his voice. Perhaps he thought I was finally scared, finally about to turn back and beg him. I said, "You are the one who gave the evidence to Lin Jixia." Silence on the other end of the line. I already knew the answer. "Dad, you're truly disgusting." His voice turned icy in an instant. "Is that any way to talk to your father? You still remember you're my father?" My voice was flat. "When you sent her screenshots of my grades and had her report me for cheating, did you remember you were my father then?" He said nothing. I continued, "The investigation team has already verified everything. My grades are legitimate, and my exam process was flawless. You failed, again." Finally, his voice, thick with suppressed anger, came through the phone. "Lin Suining, are you determined to drive Jixia to ruin?" I laughed. "Dad, I'm tired of hearing that line. Try something new." His breathing was heavy. "She's your sister," I said. "And what about me?" Silence on the other end of the line. I asked, "Who am I?" He didn't answer. I said softly, "See, you can't answer, because in your heart, I'm not your daughter. I'm Lin Jixia's backup life." With that, I hung up the phone. This time, I didn't cry. I just saved the call log. Then I sent a message to the principal. "Principal, I would like to formally request the school's assistance in handling my household registration transfer and the issue of family harassment." The principal replied quickly, "Come to the office tomorrow. The school will help you." Looking at those 4 words, I felt a deep sense of calm. In my past life, I always felt utterly alone and without support. In this life, I've learned that if you cry for help, not everyone will push you back into the abyss. Chapter 14. The investigation results are in, and so is the truth. The investigation results from the Education Bureau arrived faster than I had imagined. 3 days later, the school's official website released a statement. A joint review by the Examination Authority and the Education Bureau confirms that student Lin Suining's college entrance examination results are authentic and valid, with no evidence of disciplinary violations or cheating. Her exam performance is highly consistent with her usual academic record, competition training history, and answer logic. Relevant authorities will further investigate acts of malicious reporting that disrupt the normal college admissions process for students. The announcement sent public opinion into a frenzy. I knew it. Someone who scored 725 needs to cheat. How vicious of the person who reported it, pulling this stunt right when the acceptance letter was about to arrive. The phrase malicious reporting carries serious weight. It suggests they've found something right, considering the previous college celebration party and the plagiarism scandal. It's not hard to guess who made the report. Lin Jixia's name was trending on local social media again. Originally, she was only accused of plagiarism. Now there's another accusation, maliciously reporting her sister, the top scorer in the college entrance exam, for cheating. She completely fell apart. That afternoon, she rushed to the school gate. This time, she wasn't wearing her white dress. Her hair was a mess, her face was haggard, and her eyes were swollen like walnuts. The security guard stopped her, and she started screaming my name. "Lin Suining, come out here. How dare you do this to me?" I got the news while I was in the office filling out household registration transfer forms. Teacher Liang didn't want me to go down. "Don't see her," she said. "I'll see her," I replied. "It's a good chance to clear the air." Teacher Liang frowned. "I'll go with you." By the time we got downstairs, a crowd of students had already gathered at the school gate. The moment Lin Jixia saw me, she rushed to the iron gate. "Lin Suining, are you happy now? Everyone's blaming me. The school won't have me. The cram school won't take me back. Even mom and dad are fighting. Are you satisfied?" I stood inside the gate, looking at her. "I didn't tell you to plagiarize that paper. I didn't tell you to report me, and I certainly didn't tell you to fake an illness to force me to drop out of the exam." She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I never forced you. Ever since we were kids, it's always been you taking what's mine." The surroundings fell silent in an instant. I frowned slightly. "What did I ever take from you?" It was as if she had finally found an outlet. Her voice grew shrill. "You stole everyone's attention. The teachers favor you. The classmates admire you. Even the relatives only talk about your good grades. And What about me? I'm not healthy, my grades are poor, I can't compare to you in anything, I just wanted a little something, why couldn't you just let me have it? I looked at her. In that moment, I suddenly understood, in Lin Zhixia's world, my very excellence was a crime. The harder I tried, the more it pained her, the further I advanced, the more she felt I was standing in her way, so she wanted me to step aside, to yield my grades, my awards, my college entrance exam, my entire future, I said. Lin Zhixia, have you ever considered that the things I have didn't just fall from the sky? I earned them myself, staying up late studying, competing in contests, bit by bit. If you want them, you can fight for them yourself, she shrieked. But I can't compete with you, so you resort to stealing. Her face went pale. I pressed on. Is that your excuse? If you can't compete, it's okay to plagiarize my paper. If you can't compete, it's okay to have our parents tear up my exam permit. If you can't compete, it's okay to falsely accuse me of cheating. Her lips trembled. I just wanted a better life. I looked at her. What about me? So I'm supposed to have a worse one? She froze. I said slowly, there's nothing wrong with wanting a good life. The mistake is treating my life as your cure-all, Lin Zhixia. I am not your medicine, and I don't owe you anything. She cried even harder, but Mom and Dad have always loved me more. So what if you got into Peking University? They'd still choose me. The moment the words were shouted, she herself froze. All the surrounding students heard it. Teacher Liang's face was cold. Is that the Lin family's logic? Whoever the parents love more gets to hurt the other child. Lin Zhixia's face turned deathly pale. She instinctively tried to backtrack. That's not what I meant, but it was too late. Her outburst had been recorded by several people at the school gate. I looked at her. You're right. They would choose you, so I'm letting them go. Lin Zhixia froze. She seemed not to understand. She couldn't understand how I could just give up. She couldn't understand how I could so casually abandon the very thing she had fought so desperately for. Her grip tightened on the iron gate, and her voice suddenly dropped. Lin Suining, what gives you the right to be so carefree? I shook my head. It's not carefree. I've just finally seen things clearly. A rotten apple is still a rotten apple, no matter how hard you fight to win it. Her expression darkened by degrees. You're insulting Mom and Dad. I'm insulting you. I turned to leave. She suddenly shouted from behind me. Do you really think you can just cut us off completely? You have Lin family blood in your veins. You'll always be a Lin. I stopped and looked back at her. Not for long. She was taken aback. I said, I'm already processing the household registration transfer paperwork. Once I'm enrolled, I'll move my registration to the university's collective household. From then on, aside from the legal fact of our blood relation, there will be nothing connecting me to you. Lin Zhixia finally panicked. No way, Mom and Dad would never agree. I said, I'm an adult. Even if they don't agree, they can't stop me. The words hit her like a slap across the face. The thing she had always relied on, our parents' favoritism, the family's control, her sister's forbearance, were failing her. One by one, she finally realized she couldn't hold on to me anymore. Just then, a car pulled up at the school gate. My parents got out of the car. Seeing Lin Zhixia crying like that, my mother immediately rushed over and hugged her. Zhixia. Lin Zhixia threw herself into her arms, crying so hard she could barely stand. Mom, my sister has abandoned us. My mother froze. She looked up at me. For the first time, her eyes held more than just blame. There was panic, too. My father's face darkened. Lin Suining, haven't you caused enough trouble? I said. No, he snapped. Look what you've driven your sister to. I turned my gaze to him. Dad, the Education Bureau's investigation results are out. My grades are fine. Now they're looking into the false report. You'd better start thinking about how to explain your part in providing her with the materials. My father's expression changed. My mother snapped her head to look at him. What materials? Lin Zhixia froze as well. My father pressed his lips together. I don't know what you're talking about. I smiled. It doesn't matter. The investigation team knows. With that, I didn't linger any longer. This time, it was them standing outside the school gate. I stood inside the school gate. They wanted to come in, but they couldn't. They wanted to control me, but they couldn't do that anymore. Chapter 15. The first time my mother knelt and begged me, the day the acceptance letter arrived, a heavy rain fell over Nanjiang. It wasn't a downpour, but a fine, dense drizzle that seemed to wash the entire city clean. The courier delivered the red envelope to the school's security office. The principal signed for it personally. Then, I was called into the office. The office was packed with people. There was Mr. Liang, the grade-level head, the math teacher, the Chinese teacher, the English teacher, and a few other teachers who had taught me before. Everyone watched as I opened it. My fingers trembled slightly as I opened the red envelope. I took out the letter of admission. My name was written on it, Lin Suining. Peking University. At that moment, a memory from my past life suddenly surfaced. I stood in the rented apartment, staring at the altered admission page on my phone. The name of that private school was long and unfamiliar. I didn't go. I didn't cry either, because by then, I was all cried out. No, the acceptance letter that was truly meant for me lay in my hands. The paper was light, yet it felt as heavy as 1,000 pounds. Teacher Liang was the first to start clapping. Then, applause broke out in the office. The math teacher said with a smile, "Lin Suining, don't forget your alma mater when you make it big." The Chinese literature teacher wiped the corner of her eye. "Don't listen to him, just live a good life." Holding the admission letter, I bowed to them. "Thank you, teachers." I said that thank you with utmost sincerity. Without them, I might have still gotten a high score, but I might not have made it here so smoothly. After the photo was taken, the principal handed me a file folder. "The school has prepared all your household registration, transfer, and enrollment financial aid documents for you. When you report to Beijing, just follow the procedures. Also, regarding the family harassment issue, the local police station has a record on file. If they come to the school to cause trouble again, you don't need to get involved." I nodded. "Thank you, principal." The principal looked at me for a moment and suddenly sighed. "Suining, you have a long road ahead. Don't let your heart stay stuck in the past mess." I said. "I know," he said. "Someone as smart as you should understand, real payback isn't turning around to argue, it's living a life better than they ever imagined for you." I smiled. "I will." That evening, the school's official account posted a photo of me holding my admission letter. In the photo, I stood before the honor wall. Behind me were the 8 characters: "Aim high, keep your feet on the ground." I wore a clean white shirt and smiled faintly. The caption was simple: "Lin Suining, admitted to Jing University, may your journey ahead be vast as the mountains and seas, and your future bright." The comments section was filled with well wishes. "Go for it, girl." This made me tear up. She really made it through. Now that's a true comeback story. I scrolled for a bit longer, then went to turn off my phone. Just then, a message from my mom came through. "Suining, I'm at the school gate." I stared at those words, falling silent for a few seconds. Then I stood up. Seeing I was about to leave, Ms. Liang immediately asked, "Where are you going?" "The school gate." She frowned. "Are they here again?" "Just my mom, Ms. Liang was concerned. "I'll go with you." I didn't refuse. The rain was still falling. Under the streetlight at the school gate, my mother stood holding a black umbrella. One side of her clothes was soaked, and her hair was disheveled. Seeing me emerge, she took a step forward. The guard immediately looked at me. I said, "It's fine, I'll stay just inside the gate." My mother stopped outside the iron gate. Her eyes fell on the document folder in my hand, and tears instantly welled up. "Has the letter of admission arrived?" I nodded. "It has." Her lips quivered. "Can you let Mom see it?" I didn't move. She seemed to have already guessed I wouldn't give it to her, and gave a bitter smile. "Fine, I don't deserve to see it anyway." In the past, hearing that would have made me panic. I would have said no, that's not true, and tried to comfort her, but now, I just watched her quietly. She waited a few seconds. When my denial didn't come, her tears fell even harder. "Suining, I didn't come today for Jixia, or for your father. I came for myself." That took me by surprise. She lowered her head to wipe her tears. "I haven't been able to sleep these past few days. I keep dreaming about when you were little, dreaming of you with a fever, of you sitting alone in the hospital corridor, of you standing at the door with a certificate, waiting for me to praise you." Her voice choked up. "I always thought you were the sensible one. You didn't need to be coddled, or entertained, or worried over." Jixia was different. If she cried, my heart would be in knots. Over time, I genuinely forgot that you were also my daughter. I looked at her, my heart utterly calm. "So this is what a belated moment of self-reflection sounds like." "Nothing special," she continued. "On the night before the college entrance exam, when I tore up your admission ticket, I knew it was wrong. I knew it was your future, but Jixia was crying so desperately. Your father said it too. Your grades were good, you could retake the exam the next year, so I thought, I'll just let you bear the injustice this once. After all, you'd always put up with things before." As she reached this point, her own voice caught in her throat. "But it never occurred to me to ask why you should have to put up with it, why you should have to be wronged, over and over again." The rain pattered softly against the umbrella. I asked her, "So?" She looked up at me. "So, your mother is begging you." I said nothing. The next second, she suddenly lowered her umbrella, her knees buckled, and she knelt down in the rain. Teacher Liang's expression changed. The security guard was also stunned. My mother looked up at me, her tears mingling with the rain. "Suining, I'm begging you, don't transfer your household registration." I looked at her. In that moment, I wasn't the least bit surprised. After all she'd said, all the tears she'd shed, the desperate way she'd knelt, it all came down to this: don't Transfer your household registration, don't leave, don't slip from my control. I let out a soft chuckle, my mother's expression froze. Swaying. I asked her, Mom, you just said you were wrong. She nodded frantically. I know. Then what exactly were you wrong about? She was taken aback for a moment. I shouldn't have played favorites. And what else? I shouldn't have torn up your exam admission ticket. And then, her lips parted. I spoke for her. You shouldn't still believe, even now, that just because you get on your knees, I should abandon my decision. The color slowly drained from her face. I continued, you're not here to apologize. You realized crying didn't work, playing the doting mother didn't work, public opinion didn't work, so you switched to kneeling. She shook her head. That's not it, Suining. Your mother truly regrets it. It's not that I don't want you to leave. I'm just afraid that if you go, you'll really never come back. I looked at her, then. You're right to be afraid. She stood frozen in the rain. I said, I'll transfer my household registration, move to Beijing, change my phone number, and slowly cut every single tie I have with you. From now on, unless it's for necessary legal matters, we don't need to be in contact. She was crying so hard she could barely make a sound. How can you be so cruel? I crouched down. I looked at her through the iron gate. Mom, do you know why I can be this cruel? She stared at me, stunned. I said softly, because you taught me how. You taught me that when a person is pushed to the brink, they have no choice but to save themselves first. Her lips trembled, but she couldn't utter another word. I stood up. Go back. The rain is heavy. I said it very calmly. No mockery, no pity either, just the last shred of courtesy one might offer a stranger. I turned and walked back. Behind me came the sound of my mother's heart-wrenching sobs. Miss Liang walked beside me in silence for a long time as we neared the classroom building. She asked softly, does it hurt? I paused for a moment. Raindrops fell from the eaves, hitting the steps one by one. I said, a little, but I don't regret it. Miss Liang gave my shoulder a gentle pat. Then keep moving forward. I clutched the letter of admission in my arms. Keep moving forward. Chapter 16. I took the household register and left home for good. The video of my mother kneeling in the rain was posted online again. This time, the comments didn't bash me the way she had expected. Instead, the reaction was even more explosive. Is she really pulling this stunt again, tearing up the exam permit the night before the Gaokao, now kneeling to beg her daughter not to move her household registration? It all reeks of control. She doesn't regret hurting her daughter. She regrets her daughter getting away. Lin Suining. Don't look back. Just run. I didn't repost it. Nor did I respond, because I understood perfectly well, public opinion could help me. For a moment, but not for a lifetime. What truly mattered was getting things done. On the third day after receiving my admission letter, I went to the police station with teacher Liang. The principal had already made contact on my behalf. The officer on duty looked over my documents, then looked at me. Are you sure you want to proceed with the household registration transfer? Yes, I'm sure. Are your parents aware of this? They are. Are they cooperating? I paused for a moment. No, they're not. The police officer nodded, as if this was no surprise. You're an adult, you have your university acceptance letter and proof of enrollment, so you meet the requirements. However, if you can't get the original household register, the process will be a bit more complicated. Teacher Liang immediately asked, can we apply for a replacement? The officer said, you can apply for the relevant documentation, or we can attempt mediation first. I said, no mediation. The officer looked at me. I said calmly, they won't cooperate. Mediation would just give them another chance to harass me. The officer fell silent for a couple of seconds. Understood. Then we'll proceed under the assumption of non-cooperation. My hand was steady as I signed. For the first time in 18 years, I was writing my name clearly on a piece of paper, not for an exam, not for homework, not to handle some family business. It was to leave. When I stepped out of the police station, the sunlight was blinding. Ms. Liang asked me, what do you feel like eating? I said, beef brisket with tomatoes. She smiled. Again, okay. We had just reached the roadside when my dad's call came through. I glanced at the screen and answered, did you go to the police station? His voice was heavy. I didn't deny it. Yeah, who told you to go? I did. Lin Suining. It was as if he could no longer contain his anger. Do you think you can just change your household registration on a whim? Do you even consider this family anymore? I stood under the shade of a tree, watching the cars come and go on the road. No, there was a second of silence on the other end of the line. I continued, Dad, you don't have to ask the same question every time. I really don't consider this my home anymore. I haven't, not since the night before the college entrance exams. His breathing was heavy. Your mother is sick because of you, and Jixia is so distressed she can't even leave the house. And now you want to change your registration. Just how far are you going to push us? I laughed. Dad, you three can live happily as a family. I'll move out on my own. Isn't that exactly what you wanted? No one will take Lin Jishia's things anymore. No one will put you in a difficult position. No one will need you to remember their likes and dislikes. You should be happy. My mother's sobs came through the phone. She must have been right there beside him, swooning. Please, I'm begging you. My father was suppressing his anger. Come home. The household register is here. A flicker of emotion passed through my eyes. Finally, they don't really intend to give it to me. They just want to trick me into going back. Fine, Ms. Liang frowned at me. I shook my head at her. I said into the phone, I'll come to get it at 3 this afternoon. My father's voice softened. Come back alone. No way, I said. I'll be coming with Ms. Liang. He immediately said, this is a family matter. What's an outsider doing here to witness it? My tone was flat, so you can't turn around and accuse me of lying again. Silence on the other end of the line. A few seconds later, he hung up. 3 in the afternoon, I arrived at Qinghe Community. This was my second time back since my rebirth. The first time, I had fled from here. The second time, I came to take the last rope. The hallway was just as I remembered. The paint was peeling in places, and the motion sensor light on the 3rd floor was still flickering on and off. Standing at my front door, I suddenly felt a wave of disorientation. I had lived here for 18 years, yet I had never truly had a room of my own. My desk had been used by Lin Jixia to store her dolls. Half of my wardrobe was given over to her dresses. My competition awards were stuffed by my mother into the very bottom of a drawer. Lin Jixia's piano certification, however, was framed and hung in the living room. I used to think it was because she was frail and needed more encouragement. It was only later that I understood. It wasn't that she needed more, it was that I was expected to make do with less. The door opened. My father was standing behind it. His expression darkened noticeably when he saw Mr. Liang come in. I didn't take off my shoes, nor did I venture too far inside. In the living room, my mother sat on the sofa, her eyes red and swollen. Lin Jixia sat beside her, head bowed, looking utterly worn out. A household register lay on the coffee table. I glanced at it and reached out to take it. My mother suddenly pressed her hand down on it, swooning. I looked at her. Mom, I'm not here to chat. Her tears fell instantly. Do you really hate us that much? I didn't answer her question. I just said, give me the household register. She shook her head. After I give it to you. Are you never coming back? I said. Yes. That single word seemed to pierce right through her, leaving her completely rigid. My father said in a low, stern voice, Lin swooning. Don't push it. Teacher Liang spoke coldly. Mr. Lin, we're here today to collect the household register for a standard procedure. If you refuse to cooperate, we will proceed with the police station protocol. My father glanced at her. Teacher Liang, this is a family matter. Teacher Liang gave a short, humorless laugh. When you tore up the exam admission ticket the night before the Gaokao, you called it a family matter. When you illegally accessed the college application system, you called it a family matter. When you reported a student for cheating, you still called it a family matter. Mr. Lin, not all harm becomes justified just by slapping the label family matter on it. My father's face turned ashen. Lin Jixia suddenly looked up. Sister, do you really hate us that much? She spoke softly. You have everything now. Peking University, the scholarship, your teachers, your classmates, everyone is on your side. Mom and Dad have nothing left. Why do you still have to move your household registration out? I looked at her. Because you're still here. Her face went pale. I continued, because as long as I'm still tied to this family, you'll keep finding excuses to cling to me. Today it's the household registration, tomorrow it's the scholarship, the day after it's a media interview. In the future, it might be my job, my house, my marriage. Lin Jixia, I don't want you to suck me dry anymore. Tears fell from her eyes. How can you say something so cruel? I nodded. That's a harsh thing to say, but it's the truth. My mother finally broke down, swooning. Please don't be like this. Mom knows she was wrong. She really does. If I give you the household register, will you forgive me a little? I looked at her hand pressing down on the household register. No, she froze. I said, you're giving it to me because it's what I was owed in the first place. It's not a favor, and it can't buy forgiveness. My mother's hand slowly loosened its grip. I picked up the household register, turned to my page. Lin Suining, female, 18 years old, relationship to head of household, eldest daughter, how laughable. In this family, I've shouldered all the responsibilities of the eldest daughter, yet I've never known a single day of the love a daughter deserves. I placed the household register into the document folder and turned to leave. My father suddenly spoke. Lin Suining, if you walk out that door today, the Lin family will no longer consider you a daughter. I stopped in my tracks. I've heard those words before. My mother said the same thing the Night before the college entrance exams. Back then, when I walked out, they thought I'd be scared. No, I only feel a sense of relief. I turned back to look at him. Thank you. He was stunned, I said. I've been waiting a long time to hear that. My father's face instantly darkened with fury. I didn't linger any longer. As I stepped out the door, Lin Jixia suddenly called out from behind. Sis, I didn't break my stride, she cried out. You'll regret this. I pulled the door open, the motion sensor. Light in the hallway flicked on and I turned and looked at her one last time. No, I won't. The door closed this time. I wasn't thrown out, nor did I run away. I walked out on my own. In my hands, I held my household register, my university acceptance letter, and the life I had finally fought to reclaim in Chapter 17. University begins. They chased me to the campus gate. September, Jing City. As I stood at the gate of Jing University with my suitcase, the sky was an impossibly brilliant blue, welcoming. Banners stretched all the way from the main gate to the roadside. Volunteers held up signs, calling out warmly, freshman registration over here, registration for Guanghua College over here, need a hand with your luggage. Standing in the crowd, for a moment I didn't know which way to go. It wasn't that I was lost, it was that I had finally arrived. In my past life, I never truly set foot on a university campus. I never went after receiving that altered acceptance letter. Later, when I was working odd jobs, I often delivered takeout to the university district. On rainy days, students would emerge from the lecture halls under their umbrellas. Some complained about exams being too hard, others discussed club recruitment, and some said the mala shangwa from the second-floor canteen wasn't any good. Back then, I'd ride past them on my e-bike, the rain soaking into the delivery box. I didn't dare look for too long, because if I looked too long, it would start to ache inside. Here I am, finally, not delivering takeout. I'm here to register. Hey, are you a freshman? An upper-class woman walked over and asked me with a smile. I nodded. Yeah. Which school? Guanghua. Her eyes lit up. Wow, impressive. She took the suitcase from my hand. Come on, I'll take you to get registered. I followed behind her. The campus was vast, the shadows of the trees deep. The paths were filled with new students and their parents, all dragging luggage. A mother wiped sweat from her child's brow. A father carried a rolled-up mattress toward the dorms, and a family of 3 smiled brightly as they took a photo at the school gate. I watched for a while, and the ache in my heart wasn't as sharp as I'd imagined. Maybe it was because I had already come to accept it. There are some things I don't have, but I will have other things. The registration process went smoothly. I got my admission letter, ID card, personal file, and household registration documents stamped, one by one. When the clerk handed me the new household registration receipt, I stared at it for a long time. Just a single, flimsy sheet of paper, yet it felt like I was being torn from my past and pasted into my future. An upperclassman showed me to my dorm room, a quad room with lofted beds and desks underneath. Sunlight streamed in from the balcony. My roommates hadn't all arrived yet. I set my luggage down, opened the suitcase, and began hanging my clothes in the wardrobe, one piece at a time. No one burst in to say, "This half of the closet is for Jixia's dresses." No one ever said, "Your sister likes this, so you should let her have it." No one ever just rummaged through my things. This is my bed, my desk, my cupboard, my life. I was halfway through tidying up when my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I didn't want to answer it at first, but the caller ID showed it was from Jing City. I answered. It was my mother's voice on the other end of the line. Sui Ning. My hand froze. She changed her number again. Mom's in Beijing. I closed my eyes for a moment. What are you doing here? Her voice was tentative. Starting university is such a big deal. Your father and I had to see you off. I stared out the dorm window below. New students and their parents were coming and going. I don't need it. Her voice grew urgent. We're already at your school gate. Can you come down? I won't come in. I just want to see you. We brought your luggage, and your favorite. She paused, as if finally remembering, braised beef with tomatoes. Suddenly, it all felt absurd, something she couldn't remember. For 18 years now, after cutting ties, she remembers. No need, I said. Don't come again. Her voice instantly broke with tears. Suining. Mom just wanted to see you. We took the high-speed train here. Didn't even have breakfast. Your father didn't say a word the whole way. Jixia isn't well yet, but she came along too. My expression turned cold. She's here too. She said she wants to apologize to you. I hung up the phone directly. A few seconds later, a text message came through. Sis, I'm at the school gate. I know I was wrong. I really do. Can you come down and see me, please? I looked at the text and replied, no. A reply came quickly. Sis, are you scared of me? I laughed. Same old trick, reverse psychology. When the helpless act didn't work, he switched to provocation. I didn't reply, but soon after, someone was calling my name from downstairs. Lin Suining. Lin Suining. I walked to the balcony and looked down. A student assistant was standing below. There's someone at the school gave you claims to be family, looking for you. I gripped the railing and was silent for a moment. I went down anyway. It wasn't out of pity. I didn't want them to cause a scene all the way to the dormitory. The school gate was crowded. My parents and Lin Jixia were standing in the shade of a tree. 2 suitcases were placed beside them. My mother was holding an insulated bag. Her eyes lit up when she saw me, swooning. She started to come towards me. I raised my hand. Stay right there. She stopped in her tracks, her smile freezing on her face. My father looked thinner than before, with even a few strands of white hair at his temples. He looked at me, his tone low and somber. Why didn't you tell the family about something as important as the start of the school term? I shot back. What would be the point of telling you? He was left speechless. Lin Jixia stood behind him. She had lost a lot of weight. Her face was pale, and she no longer had that delicate, fragile air about her. She looked at me and said softly, I'm sorry, sis. I didn't say a word. She bit her lip, and tears welled up in her eyes almost instantly. I know I was wrong about the thesis. That was my fault. Reporting you, that was foolish. I was just so scared. I was afraid that after you left, I'd be invisible to Mom and Dad. I looked at her. They've always seen you. What are you afraid of? She froze. I continued. You're not afraid of being without them. You're afraid of being without me there to be your safety net. The color drained from her face. My mother couldn't hold back any longer, swooning. Jixia has already apologized. Can't you just... She stopped mid-sentence. Perhaps she finally realized she'd said those words too many times. Your sister has already apologized. Can't you just let it go? Can't you just forgive her? Can't you just drop it? I said. No. My mother's tears fell again. Then what do you want from her? I don't want anything from her. I turned my gaze to Lin Jixia. From today on, you live your life, and I'll live mine. Don't come looking for me anymore. Lin Jixia's fingers tightened on the hem of her skirt. What about Mom and Dad? I said. Them too. My father finally couldn't hold back. Lin swooning. Now that you've gotten into Peking University, you really think you're something special. People nearby began to look over. Before I could say anything, a student orientation volunteer walked over. Excuse me. Do you need any help? I nodded. Yes, I do. I looked at my father. They are not my family or guests. If they come to the school looking for me again, please treat them as external visitors. The volunteer was taken aback for a moment, then immediately became serious. Understood. My father's face darkened. I'm her father, I said calmly. Legally, for now, you are, but I don't accept you being part of my campus life, and I won't tolerate you disturbing me. My mother, crying, clutched the insulated bag, swooning. I made you braised beef with tomatoes. Didn't you always want this before? I glanced at it. I used to want it, but not anymore. She seemed to be struck by those words, her body swaying slightly. I continued, Mom, not everything that comes late still has meaning. Love is like that, and so is braised beef with tomatoes. Her tears fell this time. I didn't look back. I turned and walked towards the school building. Behind me, my father shouted angrily, Lin swooning, if you dare walk away today, don't you ever call us your parents again. I stopped. People streamed in and out of the school gate. Many had heard it. I turned back and looked at him. Mr. Lin, you're too late with those words. I stopped, acknowledging that a long time ago. With that, I turned and walked onto the campus. The grand gate of Peking University stood tall behind me. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, falling at my feet. I did not look back. I didn't even cry, because I knew, from this moment on, they were finally left outside the door. Chapter 18. I became someone they could no longer reach. My first year of university was incredibly busy, so busy I hardly had time to think about the Lin family. The classes were tough, my classmates were brilliant, there were club recruitments, lecture sign-ups, 8 a.m., roll calls, midterm papers, and group presentations. Every single day was packed to the brim. At first, I struggled to adjust. I had gone from being the top student in a small town to a place where everyone was a top student. No one here praises me forever just because I scored 725, nor does anyone treat me like a legend. Everyone here is exceptional. Some won international gold medals in high school, some published papers at 15, some speak English like a native, and some started working on research projects with professors as freshmen. For the first time, I felt the strain, but this kind of strain is different from before. The exhaustion of the past felt like being dragged down. The exhaustion of now feels like climbing upward. I like this feeling. Teacher Liang often messages me. Have you eaten? Don't stay up too late. It's cold in the capital. Remember to put on more clothes. I would send her photos too, photos of the cafeteria food, the sunset glow over the library, the PPT from my first group presentation, the first course paper I got an A on. She always replied very quickly, good, keep it up, take care of yourself. It felt like another version of performing as expected. In the second semester of my freshman year, I was accepted into a college project, assisting a professor with research on county-level educational resources. The day the topic was finalized, I sat in the library, staring at the document title, and fell silent for a long time. After all the twists and turns, I've come back to this question, but this time, I'm not the high school student whose first draft was stolen. I am a researcher. I will write those overlooked, sacrificed children, the ones told to be sensible, into a place where they will truly be seen. In my sophomore year, I received the National Scholarship. On the day of the award ceremony, a faculty advisor asked me to give a speech. I stood on the stage, looking out at the sea of young faces below. Suddenly, I remembered myself on the eve of the college entrance exams, that girl standing in the living room, watching her admission ticket being torn to pieces, who somehow managed not to break down. I said, I used to be afraid of making choices, because I once thought the right to choose was given by others. Later, I realized that wasn't true. The right to choose is something you fight for yourself. You need both capability and courage. Capability propels you forward. Courage keeps you from looking back. As the applause rang out, I saw someone in the audience with tears in their eyes. That night, the video of my speech was posted online. It didn't go massively viral, but a few people still recognized me. Is that the girl whose life was almost ruined the night before the college entrance exam all those years ago? It is her. She's doing so well now. She really did it. Kept moving forward without looking back. This is making me tear up. Your family of origin isn't your final destination. I didn't read too many of the comments. I just sent the video to Ms. Liang. She replied with a single word, good. A few seconds later, another message came through. That's fantastic. I laughed for a long time. I still hear news about the Lin family from time to time. It's not like I go asking for it. My aunt just tells me things. Sometimes, after I moved my household registration, I left that relatives group chat. Lin Jixia repeated her final year of high school. The second year, she scored 588. It was even lower than her first attempt. In the end, she went to a fairly ordinary university within the province. It wasn't that she couldn't get in anywhere, but it was a far cry from the prestigious Beijing university life she had once imagined for herself. While the record of her plagiarized paper wasn't officially filed, many professors in the field were aware of it. Any chance of a special recommendation was now out of the question. My dad later tried to pull some strings to get her to switch majors. It didn't work out. My mother's health really did take a turn for the worse for a while. It wasn't because of me. It was because she suddenly realized that the daughter she had always favored could also resent her. Lin Jixia blames her. Blames her for not stopping me completely back then. Blames her for making such a big deal out of it. Blames her for being so clumsy about her favoritism. My dad and mom argued many times. I heard that once. Lin Jixia smashed a lot of things at home and cried, saying, if you had been nicer to my sister back then, wouldn't all her resources be mine now? When my aunt sent me this message, she was absolutely furious. She still thinks what's yours should be hers. I stared at that line of text for a long time without replying. Later, I only sent one message. It doesn't matter anymore. It really didn't matter anymore. Once you've gone far enough, you realize that the hands that once desperately tried to hold you back weren't that long after all. In the winter of my junior year, I returned to Nanjing to give a lecture as a distinguished alumnus at my old high school. It was my first official return to that city, not to go home, but to return to my alma mater. The camphor trees by the school gate had grown much taller. My old photo was still hanging on the wall of honor, a line of small text below, Lin Suining, class of 2026. Admitted to Jing University. Ms. Liang was waiting for me at the entrance. She saw me and smiled. Have you grown taller? I said. Teacher, I stopped growing after I turned 18. She looked me up and down. Then your presence has grown stronger. I smiled and gave her a hug. The lecture was scheduled in the main auditorium. The audience was packed with high school seniors. I didn't give them too much motivational fluff. I only talked about 3 things. First, you need a method for studying. Second, keep a steady mindset for exams. Third, always protect your documents, accounts, and your right to choose. When I got to the third point, someone in the audience chuckled. I chuckled too. Don't laugh. This is important. Your exam admission ticket, ID card, and college application passwords, keep them all secure yourself. Life is like that, too. After the lecture, many students came up to ask for my autograph. One girl waited until the very end. She looked down and asked me quietly, Senior, what should I do if my family doesn't support my studies? I looked at her. It was like looking at myself from many years ago. I didn't immediately tell her to persevere, because perseverance isn't just an empty phrase. I asked her, is there a teacher you trust that you can talk to? She nodded. Yes. Then tell a teacher, keep the evidence, protect yourself, don't try to shoulder this alone. Her eyes welled up. But they're my parents, I said softly. Just because they're your parents doesn't mean everything they do is right. You can love them without sacrificing yourself in the process. She nodded firmly in that moment. It suddenly felt like all that past pain wasn't entirely a wasteland. If my story could help someone else reach out for help sooner, wake up sooner, and hold on to their own chance at a future, then it would have meant something. After the lecture, I went to get dinner with Professor Liang. It was tomato and beef brisket again, this time. The flavor was just right, not too salty, and not too bland. Halfway through the meal, Professor Liang suddenly said, "Your parents came to the school today." My chopsticks paused for a moment. "When, this morning, they knew you were coming back." I looked down and took a sip of my soup, and then, the principal stopped me at the door. Ms. Liang looked at me. "Your father looks much older. Your mother asked me if you were doing well." I didn't say anything, she added. "I told her you were doing just fine." I smiled. "Thank you, teacher." She also asked if you ever mentioned them. I looked up. Ms. Liang looked at me. I said no. I was quiet for a few seconds, then nodded. It was true. It wasn't a deliberate forgetting. It was that they were no longer at the center of my life. Ms. Liang asked, "Do you want to see them?" I shook my head. No. Outside the window, the sunset slowly sank. The streets of Nanjiang looked just as they always had. The light outside the small shop flickered on. A student cycled past on the roadside. In the distance, someone shouted, "Hurry up, we're going to be late." Everything felt just like the old days, yet it was completely different. After dinner, Mr. Liang and I stepped out of the restaurant. A black sedan was parked by the curb. I recognized it instantly. It was my father's car. Two people were standing by the car, my dad and my mom. When they saw me, they each took a distinct step forward. I stopped. We were separated by a distance that was neither too far nor too close. My father's temples had gone much grayer. My mother had grown thinner. She was holding a thermal lunchbox in her hand. Upon seeing me, she instinctively started to lift it, but she stopped halfway and lowered it again. I guess he finally remembered. The braised beef with tomatoes came too late. "I don't need it anymore." We just stood there like that. Neither of us spoke first. In the end, it was my dad who broke the silence, swooning. His voice was much hoarser than I remembered. "You're doing all right these days?" I said. "I'm doing fine." He nodded. "That's good. That's all that matters." My mother's tears welled up instantly. Her lips parted as if she had so much to say, but in the end, she only managed one sentence. "I'm sorry for the way I was before." I looked at her. I had waited years to hear those words. I waited as a child. I waited in middle school. I waited the night before my college entrance exams. But now that I've actually heard it, I realize I'm not as emotional as I thought I'd be. No breakdown, no sobbing, no rushing over to ask her why she waited until now to say it. I just nodded. "I understand." My mother's tears fell even harder. "Could you?" She wanted to ask if I could forgive her, but the words caught in her throat. Perhaps she finally understood that some questions are too difficult to even ask. I said, "I need to go back to school." My father nodded. "All right." He didn't stop me, neither did my mother. As I turned to leave, she suddenly called out, swooning. I stopped her voice trembled. "Will you ever come back?" I looked at the distant gates of No. 1 high school. "Yes." Her eyes lit up for a moment. I continued, "Back to our alma mater." The light in her eyes slowly faded. I didn't add salt to the wound, nor did I offer any further explanation. I walked on with Teacher Liang. As we reached the school gate, I heard a faint sob from behind me, but this time, I didn't look back. Teacher Liang asked softly, "You really don't want to look back at all?" I thought for a moment. "No." "Why?" I looked at the lights coming on inside the school gate. "Because I've already gone too far. They can't catch up now." Teacher Liang smiled. "Then keep going." I nodded. "Yeah, keep walking, move forward, no looking back." Many years later, I became the head of an educational charity project. We provided funding for many students in difficult circumstances. The project's first principle was, never make choices for the children, only help them preserve their right to choose. On the day of the launch ceremony, a reporter asked me, "Ms. Lin, why do you place such importance on the right to choose?" Standing before the camera, I remembered the college entrance exam admission ticket torn to pieces the night before the test. I remembered the stormy night. I remembered the sticky note Teacher Liang pasted on my pencil case. I remembered the sunlight at the gate of Kyoto University. In the end, I smiled. Because I almost lost it once, that's why I know how precious it is for a person to be able to choose their own path in life. After the interview ended, I received a text message from an unknown number, swooning. "It's Mom, I saw you on TV. You're really doing great. The thing I regret most in my life is that I almost destroyed you with my own hands." I stared at it for a long time, no reply. I just put the phone back in my bag. The sunlight outside the window was just right. In the conference room, a few sponsored students were lined up, waiting for my signature. One of the girls, holding her documents, said softly, Professor Lin, I want to apply to Jing University too, someday. I looked up at her, her eyes were bright, just like mine were, back in the day, and yet, she was luckier than I had been. I handed her the signed form. Then do your best on the exam. She nodded emphatically. When she reached the door, she turned back and asked, Miss Lin, what should I do if I get scared? I gave a slight smile. It's okay to be scared. Take care of yourself, and then just perform as you normally would. The girl paused for a moment, then smiled too. Sunlight fell on the documents in her hand. It looked like a brand new exam admission ticket. I watched her run out. Suddenly, I felt all the pain finally settle at that moment. It hadn't disappeared, but it no longer held me captive. I had become someone the Lin family could no longer reach. I had also become a beam of light that many children could see just by reaching out. This time, I wasn't chosen by anyone, I chose myself.